What did we do? We did like, it was me and PG, and we just did trailers, and then PG showed
You,
me the flat earthers and mud flooders.
yeah, yeah. I don't know about flat earthers, man. I'm reminded of Tenacious D.
Yeah,
Those guys, they like joined Scientology,
for a joke,
and everyone's
right?
like, "Oh my god!" Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh my god, you're Scientologist," and they're like, "No, no, it's just fucking funny.
Yeah,
We just we just play along. We don't actually believe any of this shit. It's just it's a prank. We find it amusing." I think it was them.
I think there's got to be some people like that in the flat Earth insanity,
I
where
think a
they're
lot of
just like,
them are just people that they kind of just they kept asking questions and nobody told them, no, no, you're asking the wrong questions.
yeah,
And then they kind of get in so deep that they can't leave now.
yeah, I could see that. God, I really want to talk about this show, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Oh shit. Um. So, yeah, the did you ever hear about that guy who did reactions to someone doing a reaction to someone doing like, there was this dude who had a YouTube channel, and he did like this reaction to someone else like criticizing reactions, except that he edited it slightly. And the guy who did the original video like made another one on this guy, being like, "Can you believe this dickhead? Like, what he's doing? Like, he's so, you know." Turns out the guy was just doing a massive, like, you know, sarcastic parody of reactioners. Is this whole long thing?
Sure. I think I may not know, I may not be thinking of the same example as you, but I've seen things like that where people like intentionally make a fake reaction where they intentionally make the person they're reacting to look bad
Yeah,
as a joke on the reactioners who legitimately do that.
yeah, and then the guy was like, the guy responded with like, "Oh my god!" Like, he reacted to the reactor. And then the reactor like edited his video heavily to make it look like he was praising him, and the original guy was suddenly like, "Oh wait, this guy's doing a troll." Okay, that's really funny.
Yeah. It's
Which,
like, oh, now I get it.
which, you know, like, when you get caught out on that shit, you have to just be like, "Oh shit, I got." You know, like, you can't let your ego go, you know, like double down and be like, "Oh no, you're an idiot and fuck you." It's like, just accept that you got and take your lumps and be like, "Yeah, fair enough." Which is,
It's easy to just play it off. Just be like, fuck, I can't believe you got me with that stupid shit, you
yeah,
asshole. And then just be done with it. It's like, fuck. All right, cool, you got me.
yeah, you know, it's just
But
sucks.
as long as it's harmless, if they're doing
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that
yeah.
like could be potentially harmful to your, I don't want to call it a business, but
Brand.
to your reputation, your brand, yeah.
Yeah,
Then you could be like, okay, I can see you're just joking, but this actually isn't funny.
yeah.
Like it is funny, but at the same time, it's you're a dick.
So should we get into it? Josh, hey Josh, how's it going?
Do you remember when Josh was interesting?
Yeah. I mean, like,
Like,
you mean like the first couple of episodes?
yeah, the first episode was actually really interesting. Like
Yeah.
he was doing the Ferris Bueller thing, just walking through this ruined town. It's like, hey guys, this is me. I bet you're wondering how I got here, and it just plays out, and it's so good.
And like
It, it,
the world building was kind of like promising.
he wasn't a hero of
Yeah.
any type, even, and like he only really tried one remotely heroic thing, which is in the trailer, which is where he tries to cut that dude's finger off, and it's like we all knew he was gonna fuck up.
Yeah. But the way it kept going was funny.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
you
like
know,
that thing of intentionally playing a joke out for too long.
I liked it.
I think Family Guy does it well. Like
Sometimes.
the chicken
Yeah.
suit dude, the original chicken suit thing, how that fight just kept going on and on. It was like, holy shit, they're still going.
Yeah.
Then they kept doing it, and it's like you've missed the point of your original joke.
Yeah. Yeah. The knee thing that didn't really hit for me. The first time I was like, oh, okay, yeah, and then they just kept doing it in different, and I was just like,
It's like it is very fitting that we'd be talking about that, because it's like they made a joke at their own expense and then didn't realize that if they kept doing it, it would no longer be at their expense. It
yeah.
would be just them missing the point of their own joke.
Yeah, it then becomes an actual just, stupid bullshit. It cancels out the original joke and then makes it worse, and poisoning the well. They poison their own well, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're here to talk about Daybreak because I watched the show and I couldn't decide whether I loved it or fucking hated it, and I'm still not sure. And I asked people in the Discord like what they thought, and people were either like had watched a couple of episodes or hadn't watched it, like Doc. Unfortunately for Doc, I got him to watch it, and we're now here to talk about it because, oh fuck me, it hurts my brain. There's aspects of it that are fucking genius and I love, and then as time goes on, I start to just despise it, and I feel like I feel like it. I don't know how did it go from the first few episodes to the end, and everyone went, yeah, that makes sense.
It kind of reminds me of like a condensed version of Lost. It started off really good, and then all the writers went on strike, and they just kind of started making shit up to finish it. And that's like that happened over the course of a single season in this show, because it started off really good, and then towards the middle things got muddy, and then towards the end you were like, I don't even want to finish this, but I've come so far, I just need to finish it, and then never come back.
Yeah, it feels like they shot it over 10 years, and like got loads of different writers in, and they all had different ideas, and there was no plan, and it just like it just fucking shat itself multiple times, where you're just like, what, really? So I guess first episode, and by the way, people in chat, if you've seen it, feel free to at me, or Doc, because I assume you can see the chat, Doc. Yeah, feel free to at us to bring up points or like add to it. Mostly just going to be talking about like whatever comes to mind, so if there's anything you want to bring up, and if anyone here wants to add in something, let me know as well, because I'm perfectly happy to have people.
And if you haven't seen the show, don't bother.
Yeah.
Like if I had only seen like the first, say, 4 or 5 episodes, and someone asked me, hey, should I watch this Daybreaks thing? I'd be like, yeah, do it. It's pretty good. But having finished it, I can't actually recommend it. It's one of those things where it gets so bad that it counters the good that it starts with.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's some really good in there, and I'm not sure it completely ruins it.
I just don't feel... I feel like... Yes, there is definitely a lot of really good in there. Someone on the writing team knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to them.
I feel like they got abducted, and everyone was like, shit, our really good writer who knows what they're doing just disappeared from the earth. What do we do? And they were just like, maybe they wanted to do this, and then he came back and he was like, no, this is the exact opposite of what I wanted in this show. So yeah, like the first episode comes out with the main character Josh, who you can see I don't think the casting was amazing for him. Like, he looks a little bit too, like, I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't really buy him as the loser.
He looks like a really successful YouTuber.
Yeah, that's right. Like he looks. I guess that works because most really successful YouTubers, or at least the generic successful YouTubers, not so much nowadays, but the originals, they all look like people who were bullied at school and then, like got cooler later on because of the internet and how the internet works and everything.
He literally looks like he would have a YouTube channel where he does vlogs and unboxings.
Yeah. Like maybe gaming, like back kind of the midpoint of gaming when people like Markiplier and shit were coming up.
Yeah. I think he does all right because he's not supposed to be necessarily the absolute loser. He's just kind of, he's like, they do the joke with his name. Which Josh is he? Gay Josh, other gay Josh. He's like, no, just Josh.
And I like speaking about the Joshes. I love the fact that gay Josh died and other gay Josh wanted to be gay Josh, but they wouldn't let him. I thought that was good.
It's not cool to just take someone's take someone's legacy like that. Or
take someone's name or so he's still the other. I thought that was really good, and I was like,
that was one of the little things that they sneak in. That it's like if you missed it, you wouldn't really. It doesn't affect anything, but it was good when it happened, and it was like, oh, that was
yeah.
Now that Gay Josh is dead, can't I just be Gay Josh? No other Gay Josh.
And then like you get introduced to the three main characters who I have to say, like, I have my misgivings of the actor who played Josh, like a little bit, but I like all the three main characters. I can get past the slight. I don't want to say Mary Sue because people, but the young girl. I forget her name, but she is a little bit of a total badass. Like there are instances where she kind of fails and all that kind of thing, but she did feel a little bit like someone who made that character wanted her
she was definitely the perfect girl. See, when I watched it, all I could think of was that someone really enjoyed Borderlands 2 and someone really enjoyed Kick-Ass, because she is just like an amalgamation of Tiny Tina and Hit Girl. That's literally all she is as a character.
She feels like the fantasy of what people feel like should be like a badass crazy teenager, like teenage girl, where it's like she's she's a genius and she's an anarchist but she's really cool and she's kind of punky and she's her episode I wasn't a massive fan of for the most part. It's the one where it goes.
She gets the makeover. And she's doing all the flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, all of her flashbacks into being the queen, godmother of drugs and all that kind of. I didn't understand the slime thing. It felt dumb. I don't know if it was a reference to something. Like, was there a? Slime?
I think that there were kids that were making alcoholic slime, if I remember correctly. They were like making slime because. Okay, so kids making slime on YouTube was a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like, look at this cool slime I made. It's got bubbles and glitter in it and stuff like that. Okay. And then they kind of took that and combined it with the kids putting vodka in slime and eating it to get drunk at school. And they combined that with her wanting to be a drug leader, drug boss. And had her putting drugs in the slime. It's like, okay, I guess I sort of see what they're doing.
Well, one of the things actually about this show that kind of janked me a little bit was it felt very in jokey at times, where you only get the joke if you live in this area, and it was like referencing. It felt like it referenced things that were very isolated to, I don't know, like LA and that area there.
There was also a weird generational thing where a lot of the jokes really only make sense to like teens or slightly older
Yeah.
right now, but most of the movie is just a giant Ferris Bueller's Day Off reference.
Yeah, that's very strange.
And it's like there's so many things that the target audience just won't get because, like, as popular a movie as it is, a lot of people haven't seen it now.
Yeah, it felt like it was trying to appeal to kids, but original like the original reference is like, I mean, you know, Matt, what's his name? Matt, original Ferris Bueller.
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick's in the show, and
I thought he was fucking perfect.
Yeah.
He was perfectly cast. Not just because of the Ferris Bueller thing, but he did that role really well.
He was great. Like the end, which you know we'll obviously get to, spoilers, blah blah blah. The end, I feel things went because the entire show went off the rails and just not in a good way. You know, I feel like I feel like his character was still good. I don't like everything there. You know, he did well with what he had.
Yeah, the actor did perfectly. The writers kind of dropped the ball a little.
Yeah. But it does mean that there is stuff in the towards the end where I feel like I think one of the problems I have with this show is like how many missed opportunities there were, to the point where at the beginning there were good ideas and I was like, okay, I'm on board for this, and then the fact that they just like fucked things up so badly and missed all of these opportunities to do like interesting things. Like, okay, so one of the first things we learn in the show is that everyone over the age of teenage-ish, I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a specific age cutoff, but we just say all the adults.
All the adults have been turned into what are basically zombies. I mean, they're called ghoulies, and they actually, you know what? Where I was so excited for the show was when they did the bite bit, and he tried to cut off his arm.
And somehow fucked up and cut off a finger instead.
Yeah, like he fucked up and he cut off his finger, and he was like trying to like cut off his arm because he got bitten by one of the zombies / ghoulies, and then people come in and they're like, and the girl is like got bite marks all over her, and she's like, yeah, no, that's not how zombies work. And I was like, okay, cool, like you know, that's almost like an in show way of saying like we're not doing things the standard way of zombies and all that kind of shit. Like, this isn't a zombie show, and it's like, okay, fair enough. And like that,
it was almost like a subtle nod or a wink. It's like, yes, these aren't normal zombies. Wink, wink.
Yeah,
it's not an infection. You don't get bitten and turn.
And like the addition of the addition of the ghoulies, the zombies, the adults, saying the last thing that was on their mind, and it all being like inane bullshit, I fucking loved.
I did like that. They were just kind of wandering around mumbling about whatever sale they were thinking about, or what this person was saying on social media. That's just all that they would just repeat over and over again. And that was quite good. And
like, you know, there's the guy talking about screw it, this is my cheat day or something like that, and he's chasing a squirrel trying to eat it. It's just like, I love that.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding me about that. The squirrels.
What happens around that little like instance, I hate instantly. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that.
But other than the ghoulies, the secondary threat we're introduced to in the first episode is the mutants. He comes home from his little drive, and there is a giant mutant pug in his house. Yeah. That's it. That's about the that's about all the mutants added to the show, which I felt was a major loss.
Yeah, it felt like kind of Fallout-y in a way that I was super down for. And
The mutants themselves reminded me of a cross between a Fallout monster and a Stalker monster.
yeah, yeah. And I was like,
They were really well designed and really interesting, and they did nothing with them.
they just ignored it. And like, there was like a mutant squirrel once, and then the crow that got shot with the crossbow, that stole the finger, and that was like it. And I was just like, I don't understand.
Yeah, like they took the time to create these really cool mutant animal idea, and the only time they do anything is the pug that shits in his house, which does nothing. He just
Yeah.
leaves and goes to a different house, and everything's fine.
Well, that pug comes back later and
Well,
does.
no, I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah, okay.
So the pug shows up in his house, shits everywhere, and he just leaves.
Yeah.
Then there's a crow that steals the finger. The finger isn't important at all.
No.
So it's just like a little thing that they're playing, a little joke that they're playing out. So that's adding nothing either.
Yeah.
The squirrels, they do show up every now and then, but they're just like running away from something.
Yeah. They're just there to be like.
It could have just been a normal squirrel.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be a mutant. And then a pug shows up at the end and eats and humps a dude.
I don't think he eats him. I think he just humps him.
I mean, it bites him with that big ass mouth. There's probably going to be some serious damage. I'm pretty sure that it fucking killed him with that attack.
I think that whole thing is actually like a good indication of one of the problems of the show, which is death is treated as throwaway and also poignant depending on what they want.
Well, that actual scene at the end with the pug, like they're watching a dude get mauled and raped by a giant mute dog, and they're laughing at it.
Yeah.
And then literally, as they're laughing, they turn and look at each other and realize that one of them's dying, and we're supposed to take it seriously, and everyone's sad.
Yeah, I couldn't take it seriously, and I wanted to. We'll get to that scene because I think that's like, that episode is the perfect example of why I love and hate the show, and I think hate trumps love a little bit here. But yeah, like there's so many instances where there's like throwaway death, and then it immediately transitions into something poignant, and you just can't adjust with it. You know, like I want to be invested, but I can't because they don't take shit seriously when they need to take it seriously, and they have throwaway goofy shit in the wrong moments. I think that's one of my main problems. That, along with all the wasted opportunities, like, for example, all of the factions. Did you like all of the factions? You know, like the detail that they went into.
Do you remember the gamer faction?
Yeah.
Do you remember how they had the big setup of finding them and meeting them and recruiting them to do a mission for them, and then they just left and died? That's it. The end. We never hear from them again.
They didn't even die. Like, some of them died.
I don't know. Did they?
No. Well, they didn't die. They got captured, and then that was it. They're gone.
Yeah, but did they die? Did they leave? Did they go back to playing Fortnite? What happened? What, like, this whole entire faction of people that could have been interesting was just like a throw. Like, they were like, we need someone that's going to break into the school. Gamers.
Yeah.
They find some gamers in a truck, and they send the gamers in.
In that fucking scene, they have a really funny line where they're talking about what's going on in the outside world, and it felt very meta in the sense that, you know, very often in these apocalyptical things, they just ignore the rest of the world, and they're like, who cares? We just care about this, you know, section of America, or we just care about America. Like, a good example.
Or in their case, we just care about playing Fortnite.
Yeah. And I thought it was really good, and it was really clever.
Wait, was it Fortnite or Overwatch? What were they playing?
I think it was Overwatch. But, you know, whatever. Like, it was very... Yeah, it was Overwatch. But at the same time, this is why it annoys me so much, because that's clever. Because, you know, you take something like The Walking Dead. You know, it's literally just America, and it is just, you know, mostly focused on like a small group of people, but at the same time there's no care really for much of, like, at the very beginning they have a few throwaway lines about, you know, like researchers in France, or a few references to what happens, and then it's just ignored after that, and it's just...
I think the only book I could say that did it well, I'm not going to say the movie did it well, was
World War Z.
World War Z.
Yeah.
And that was simply only because it was taking, like, the book was set after the zombie outbreak had been contained, and someone was going traveling the world and talking to people, so that made it work. But then you get the movie where it's like, okay, how do we get this American to travel the world to talk to people and see how different countries are reacting to the zombies? And then they kind of had to force him onto a dozen different planes, and
it didn't really make sense, and it like missing out all of the things like Quislings and ferals, and, you know, like that detracted so much, because all of that stuff, like the great and we can do, I'm happy to do a drop pod on World War Z, the book, by the way, because I fucking love it.
It's brilliant. It's still to this day the only audiobook that I can say I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because it works really well. Different people, it's just a reporter having interviews with different people, and it works really well as an audiobook. I don't generally like audiobooks.
For the most part, I'd say there's like I really, but that it might be a nostalgia thing because I listened to it as a kid, but the Terry Pratchett ones read by Tony Robinson I really enjoy, because he does like good, the different voices are really good, and I don't know, it works for me personally. But World War Z on audiobook, with like the one with Nathan Fillion and
there's got a dozen big names that people recognize.
Yeah, that it's got the Harold and Kumar. It's got Kumar from that. He's when he does that line about, and then his little penis popped out and he peed on me kind of thing. But yeah, World War Z was amazing, and I could wax lyrical about that for a proper drop pod sometime. But no, back to Daybreak. The factions. Did you enjoy all of those factions that were mentioned, and you were like, oh, cool, this is going to be like him, you know, meeting all these different factions and dealing with them, and he's going to be like...
Most of them were cool. I liked the way a lot of them worked out. Like, okay, so going by the trailer that we see the golf club, I didn't get them. I didn't like that. That didn't make sense as a faction that would form.
Although...
But then you get, like, the country kids that, like, raise cattle and stuff. I could see that forming as a faction, and that worked, because they were all, like, they were country kids. And then you get the Amazon chicks. I could kind of see that working as well.
Yep.
Like, but that made sense as a faction.
I mean,
the Apple nerds, I didn't understand those ones.
No,
that didn't work for me. Yeah.
The Cheerzons.
Cheerzons, yes. Thank you for reminding me of that word.
Well, no, but that I feel like that was a reference to what's that cheerleader? Bring It On. Do you remember the cheerleaders in Bring It On always used to like combine words that were fucking dumb?
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a reference to that, and I was like, oh, I actually kind of like that. Like, Chimazons is dumb, but I think it's supposed to be dumb.
Yeah, no, that's not, like, it's a dumb word, and I wish I didn't know it, but it worked as what it was supposed to do.
Be aggressive, but like what I thought the show was going to be, and like this is why I kind of compare this for myself. Like, I don't think anyone else would agree. I kind of compare this to The Boys. Is going into this, I didn't know what it was going to be, and I thought this was going to be like a small group of, like, let's call them wandering mercenaries, or like, you know, like, because you've got the like wandering samurai trope, you know, the Yojimbo type.
I rather liked him. I thought he was the best character in the show.
I also agree that he was possibly one of the best characters. I can't really say that Turbo was one of my favorite characters.
I feel like Turbo was
I like where he
good,
was
but there
going.
were a lot of things that they did weird with him. That
Yeah.
okay, so him killing the last golf kid. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Where they were like, "Oh, he's the one that set us up," and then Turbo has him killed, and it's like, okay, why?
That was
Turbo
just
set that
bad
Turbo
writing.
set that whole thing up to make it look like he had betrayed them so that he could kill him off. But why? Why did he kill that kid off?
He needed a win.
But there wasn't a win.
I know.
It wasn't a win.
Yeah. I know.
I don't understand why he. What was his reasoning for? Okay, I need to set up this whole thing so that I can kill off this kid.
Yeah.
And he set up the whole thing and killed off the kid. It's like, why not just kill the kid if that's what you want to do? Why did you have to set up this whole thing? What was his reasoning for deciding that this kid needed to be framed and killed? There was nothing there. And this was at a point after Turbo was supposedly kind of turning away from the just randomly murdering kids.
Yeah. And it made no sense.
So weird.
Also, like one of my early indications that this show was gonna like go badly, was the fucking we don't use guns. You broke the thing. You know, this whole thing about not using guns. And then out
comes the rocket launcher.
Yeah, he used a rocket launcher. Like when I guess it was in. Maybe the argument could be that it was in faction, so you know he was like. It's like factions don't use guns against each other or something, but I don't know. It doesn't.
I mean, technically, it was a rocket-propelled grenade, so it wasn't actually a gun.
Yeah.
But then again, looking at the thing that Apple kid pulled out, it didn't really look like a gun either. It looked like one of the bolt drivers they use for slaughtering cattle.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I just use it as an example for like. The potential it had to go horribly downhill, that it did horribly go downhill. But
I mean, I did. At least they had a reason why none of the kids were armed to the teeth. I mean, it is California, but still,
I liked it.
There was no guns, and it was just like it was just a case of we don't use guns.
And I'm glad that that's there, because I preferred it without guns and everything. Is this coming to YouTube? I don't know. Maybe, probably.
Would guns have changed anything?
I think there would have been a lot more instances where like people would have been just like, well, why are they hitting each other with sticks? Why don't they just shoot each other, kind of thing, you know?
Well, how often did they hit each other with sticks? That's what I mean. Would guns have changed anything?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe on the mall scene, you know, where they
attack the dance.
Yeah.
Would that have changed if they had guns? They got ambushed in the dark.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would have played out exactly the same with or without guns.
True.
That's what I was thinking about this earlier. Them not having guns didn't really change anything other than the fact that there were no guns in it.
And I mean, why are bows okay?
Or flamethrowers.
Or rocket-propelled grenades.
Or spike pits.
Yeah.
I did kind of like the fact that they did the talent show, and if you failed, you just got dropped in the spike pit.
I really like that dude singing his song. I thought that was great, and I do legitimately think it ruined it for me when he just got fucking murdered, because I was like, you know, I thought Turbo was like turning a corner. I thought it was supposed to represent Turbo kind of turning a corner and becoming, which he does. He becomes less of an ass.
I mean, he literally becomes one of the good guys, it's like a bad trope, but it works because it's not just like, okay, I'm going to turn into a good guy now, or someone gives him an emotional speech and he turns into a good guy. It's the whole time he's been trying to be a good guy, just fighting the fact that he's a rated up jock.
Yeah, and he's a little bit insane.
That doesn't help.
And like, we don't know. I did watch this in not one sitting, but fairly close together, and at times I was fairly sleep deprived. Did we find out why his face is fucked up, or was that just a thing?
He got. Yes, we do.
I may have like missed it while my brain was trying to recover from something stupid.
Shit, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure we did.
That's actually a decent point that Urkel brings up. Do you think maybe because this entire thing is supposed to be like an allegory for high school, um, like, so technically speaking, the whole city and the whole apocalypse is like a high school. Do you think maybe that's why they didn't have guns? Because like it could be a
I
bit
think
rougher.
like from a production point of view, that's probably what it partially was. They didn't want high school kids with guns shooting other high school kids.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think the kind of in-universe reason is that it's a generation of kids who are very anti-gun, so they just decided amongst themselves, we don't use guns.
yeah. It's a California liberal thing, I guess. Makes sense. Makes enough sense.
That's right. It was when the bomb dropped because he was at the football stadium that got fucking blown up,
Oh, okay.
and
Fair
one
enough.
side of his body got scorched by the nuclear explosion.
I didn't see that, I guess.
It's
But,
it's never really like specifically explained this is what happened to him, but you see in one of the flashback scenes where Josh is going up to the stadium to talk to British chick, and you see Turbo in it as the explosion goes off, and it just like fire just hits him from one side,
okay.
and then I like it when they do things like that. They don't tell you, oh, and then Turbo woke up but half of his face was burned. They just show you him getting hit by an explosion, and then the next time we see him, he's all scarred up. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, that works.
Oh yeah. So we got a bit sidetracked from what I was saying, but the reason that I didn't like the reason that I didn't get invested in the boys is because I thought it was going to be us following the protagonist, the main character guy whose girlfriend gets fucked
Huey.
up. Yeah. I really liked that opening scene. Like you weren't expecting it. It was a shock, and it's just out of the blue. And I was like, "Fuck, okay." But I thought it was gonna be him being a normal who, like, becomes a villain and goes after all these superheroes. And that,
I
like,
um did you finish season 1?
yeah.
When season 2 comes out, watch it.
Okay.
Even though you have your trepidations about it based on what you've seen, I have read the comic. I read the comic years ago,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. And then I watched the show, and I was like, wow, they're taking this in a different direction, but they're ending at the same place. And if it's anything like the comics in where they're going with it, you're gonna get what you want.
Okay.
I'll just put it this way: in like the first episode, the first book of the comic, all of the boys get a shot of the drug that they use to make superheroes. Not enough to turn them into supers, but enough to make them able to take a super in a fight if they're lucky. And one of the first things Huey does in a fight is punch through a dude's chest so hard that his heart explodes and kills him.
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh shit! I can't believe I just accidentally killed this superhero." Like, they do go that way
Yeah.
with them. They do like wage guerrilla war against the superheroes, and they do actually go around occasionally killing them if they have to. Whereas in the show, they kill the Invisible Man, who wasn't even in the comics, and then
Okay.
that's just the last superhero that dies. Really, they
I-
don't really.
Yeah, they didn't really do much of a. It's actually the same in Daybreak. It's like the mutants, and they kind of go off where you don't expect them to, and I was just like, I love Carl Urban in that. I think he did an amazing job with that character. The same way I really liked Matthew Broderick in Daybreak. But the show itself just kind of, I don't know, I guess.
I was so
fell
fucking
flat.
confused for a second. Then I was thinking, wait, where was Carl Urban? Which one was he? And then I realized you were talking about.
Yeah, sorry, in The Boys, I like Carl Urban.
No, he was fucking perfect for that role. He fits the character in the show perfectly, and he actually fits the character in the comics really well.
Yeah.
A little bit less swearing in the show than there was in the comic, but it still worked.
Yeah, I mean, it's but like this is the thing is like my problem with Daybreak to a certain extent, let's say one of the things that always had me like brain confused with Daybreak is I thought it was gonna be a really interesting kind of look at the three main characters dealing with all the factions. You know, like all these independent factions who are like fighting against each other and like, you know, going for resources and all that kind of thing. I can understand why the jocks were basically in control of everything. It's a very kind of throwaway, tropey joke thing.
I mean, it fits. If it was only teens,
Yeah,
which group would be the strongest? The jocks.
it totally fits. It's just not where I was expecting all of these different, like, you know, like the Warriors. You have all of those different like gangs who are very like visually different from each other, and you know, like
Yeah. That was obviously a very heavy reference that they took was from the Warriors with the different gangs of teens tearing the place up.
I was just expecting it to be these three characters being like independent, wandering mercenary type people, like going to the different gangs and being like, you know, independent of all of that. And it was going to be like this kind of, you know, you could be an independent faction, you know, you don't have to join a clique in high school, or you know, and like it was going to go into depth on all of the gangs and everything, and it just didn't. It was just jocks.
Well, that's kind of who Josh is in the story. He's that one kid who doesn't belong to any one of the groups, but is kind of friends with people in each of the different groups, and he just moves from one to the other.
Yeah.
But then in the show, he just forms his own faction of other kids who aren't in a faction, and it's like they kind of missed that.
Yeah, I didn't really like that. I don't know. It fell flat for me. Although I like the three main characters, and yeah, so basically we also get introduced to the bad guy, this like, you know, threat, because and looking back, doesn't it make sense, the reveal? Because you think, like, you know, for a group of
the Baron Triumph reveal?
Baron, thank you, I can't remember his name. Like, for a group of kids, what's the scariest thing? You know, like this kind of like authority. You know, he's not really an authority.
An angry adult.
So, Matthew Broderick is the principal. You can see him there, just went past.
He played the role perfectly as the principal, as well as all of the other roles that he takes.
Yes.
I thought he just did really well in everything.
I
will continue to gush over him for the rest of this drop pod.
Yeah, me too. I'm
fair warning. He was fucking perfect in his job.
He played the principal character was also Baron Triumph.
Well, for some of it.
Yeah.
We did get somebody else playing Baron Triumph, but he was a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, but I did enjoy that.
I did like that he was just like, yeah, I'm not really Baron Triumph, but it keeps you fuckers away.
I will say, did you feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with their own joke at the same time as being kind of clever and funny? Because, like, the reveal of Baron Triumph being some weird little goofy kid who we hadn't met yet, I was like, oh, they're going in this really interesting direction where it's not like some reveal of, you know, like some character we already knew. It's some random asshole who's not even, you know, real. And then you find out that he's not the real Baron Triumph, and you're like, oh, okay.
When I initially saw that, and it was just some goofy kid that got off the bike, I thought that it was going to be that Baron Triumph wasn't actually like murdering and killing people. It was just some kid creating this a personal boogeyman story. You don't go near the mall. That's where the boogeyman lives.
Yeah.
So everyone stays out of the mall, and he's just, you know, king in his castle. And that's what I thought they were going for. But then they were like, you're just pretending. The Triumph logo on your bike is made of cardboard, which I thought was actually kind of funny.
Yeah, I did, but it did kind of detract from the whole thing because I was just like, I like that idea. And then to have it be like, oh, it's actually the school principal. Yeah, he had training wheels on his bike. That was great.
Like, they could have had those training wheels on the bike in every scene he was in up until then, and I wouldn't have noticed because there was so much shit bolted on and hanging off the bike. You just wouldn't have noticed them, which would have made it work even more that the Baron Triumph was just a boogeyman.
So there was all of that, and like Matthew Broderick plays Baron Triumph really well. But something I want to mention because did you see Matthew Broderick being Baron Triumph coming at all?
Yeah.
Because I did.
It wasn't necessarily anything he did. He was just the only person it could be.
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing, is there was two people I thought it could be. And I was 60-40 on it. I was 40-60 on it being Matthew Broderick, the principal. The other person I thought it could be was Sam.
Yeah. It was obviously going to be, like, there weren't enough characters that we'd been introduced to.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem like they were going to go the route of it's just some random guy.
Unfortunately, because I think it would have been funny. But
later on in the show, there was the potential that it could have been that kid's dad, the one that ran the cereal factory.
Yeah.
There was potential for it to be him, but by that point, we already knew it wasn't.
The only person I knew it wasn't the entire way through was the kid that they thought it was.
Yeah. Well, I think they were trying to make people think it would be him because they showed us the flashback with the cereal kid's dad.
Yeah.
And then they showed that Baron Triumph was basing out of the cereal factory. So I think they were supposed to make us think that, oh, it's him. And then they did the reveal, actually, it's the principal. We got you. But it was like, by that point, we already knew it wasn't him. We kind of had to, they were giving it away that it was the principal.
Yeah, which wasn't terrible. But I think, given everything that we know, having watched the show, it would have been more interesting for it to be Sam. I think there was more possibilities there.
Wait for season 2.
We'll get there. That's gonna be like us ranting for hours, but well, it's definitely gonna be me ranting for hours. I don't know about you, Doc, but I fucking hated the last couple of episodes.
Well, that's because they were focused on Sam, and Sam was an unlikable cunt.
Yeah, Sam is just one of the worst characters that's ever existed.
It's like,
and not in an interesting way.
Yeah, I don't even understand why Josh had any interest in her.
Yeah.
Like, as a character, they didn't even seem to get along. But he was just, I'm in love with you. And she was like, yeah, but I hate you.
And it wasn't like,
fuck now?
It wasn't interesting writing, or it was just literally forced. It felt forced. No, dude, Doc, we'll get there. Okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
We still have to talk about the beginning of the show, which was interesting and had possibilities.
That's right. We're still on the first episode.
So we meet Josh. He's okay. I like him enough. And then we meet Street Samurai.
We meet Hit Girl Tiny Tina first.
Yeah, because he thinks that she's Sam.
Yeah, he hears that there's a girl trapped in a box, and he just assumes it's Sam. Which he's a hopeful romantic type, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
We all knew that it wouldn't be her, but it makes sense for him to be like, that must be Sam, because I'm looking for Sam.
And I think he hears her voice.
Yeah, he hears someone calling for help, and he just
it doesn't sound.
I think he sees blonde hair through the gap in the box as well, which kind of confirms it for him.
And the young girl, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. If someone can tell me in chat, she is interesting enough. Thank you. She's got this kind of anarchic, brilliant trouble child thing, which I think works to begin with, especially. And actually, you know what? I think it works better as time goes on. aside from her flashback episode, which I'm a massive fan of, because a lot of it was just like
Angelica.
Angelica, yeah, there you go.
Which I think is someone really enjoyed Rugrats as a kid.
Yeah, I have the
grew
feeling
up
that
to become a writer.
I have the feeling that maybe that was a Rugrats reference. Thinking about it, but I didn't.
I mean, she does kind of seem like a slightly more grown-up Angelica. I think
Yeah.
Angelica was supposed to be like 8 or something in the Rugrats, so
Yeah.
by 12, yeah, she'd probably be about there.
So she's a genius and she's a firebug, which kind of gets thrown away mostly. Like, I was.
She likes her flamethrower. She does.
Yeah. She does it a bit to begin with, and then it just mostly gets. I think the problem with
She
that
kind of
is.
just becomes the escort to Miss Crumble for half the show.
Yeah. Which I don't have a problem with, because I think.
No, because she was the surrogate mother, so
Yeah.
it kind of worked.
And the relationship between Miss Crumble and her was great, and Miss Crumble was fucking great as well. I really enjoyed the comedy parts, especially of Miss Crumble, but also just everything of Miss Crumble.
Miss Crumble as a character was good. I think it's a lot of this is going to come back to me feeling like they rushed way too much with this show.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that Miss Crumble as the witch should have been played out for at least half a season.
Yeah, it felt like they wanted to get to their brilliant ideas that just ruined everything.
Yeah.
I don't think the flamethrower had a name. But yeah, I don't know. She's an interesting character, and then we get to the street samurai, who I really liked his character.
Wesley Fists.
Wesley Fists, which again, yeah, that's a good name. I like that name. It's and he wait, did he have two dads? Was he the one who had two dads? I might be mixing this up. Did we meet his parents at all? I can't remember.
No.
Okay. But yeah, so his character was interesting, and they kind of form a group, and
I do like that they don't really form a group.
Yeah.
They just the group just happens because they're all together and they just all move in the same direction, and then it just stays that way. I did like that it wasn't like, hey, we should team up. It was just they teamed up because that's what happens.
It's what happens in high school. You just form a group through convenience or whatever, and it's not that deep or anything like that, and it can deepen or like I did like going forward a bit. I did like him basically just abandoning them because he was like abandoning them, and I thought that was good because it's
him
realistic.
Being Wesley or Josh?
Josh, like him, like kicking Wesley out.
He's like, well, it didn't feel to me like it was like he's kicking them out of the group. It was like a social group thing where you have a fight with your friends and you're like, fuck off, leave me alone. I'm going to make new friends. I don't want to talk to you. And then later on, you're like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
Yeah. And it felt realistic. And then they have a run-in with the jocks, and there's the scene which has been flashing up on the screen quite a lot, where they throw the blood bombs. I didn't understand what that meant for quite a while. Maybe I missed a throwaway line or something, but I didn't know that blood drew the ghoulies until like much later when they mentioned it again later.
Yeah, they don't really explain what they're doing with the blood, and we don't really know until after they've thrown all the blood, and they're like acting like, "Oh, this is a triumph for us. We're winning."
Yeah, I didn't get it.
I don't get it. And then all the ghoulies come running in. It's like, oh, the blood draws them in. Okay.
See, I didn't even get that. Oh, the blood draws them in. I thought they just randomly turned up because of all the commotion, like noise.
I mean, yeah, I could see how you might make that because they don't actually say the blood's drawing them in. It just happens. Which, again, that's the kind of writing that I like, where the characters do something without explaining it, and it works out, and things happen, and you can infer what happened by their actions.
And then later on, there'll be reference to it, and you'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha." To draw a comparison to something recently, in Red Dead Redemption 2, the main character gets TB, tuberculosis, and he gets it from one of the guys he beats up, and the guy like coughs blood on him and that. But they never say that the character he beats up has tuberculosis. He's just sick. And then, you know, later on, I realized, like, I think other people knew, but I didn't get it till later on that's where he got it from, like, beating up this guy, and the guy coughed on him. I was like, oh, okay, that's, you know, it's nice when they don't have to, they don't feel the need to spell everything out and treat the audience like idiots.
Yeah.
So yeah, the blood draws the ghoulies. And then I thought he was gonna be like the one of the main antagonists for a while, but one of the golf club crew, the like captain of the golf club, gets fucking murdered.
Well, that's what you expect. Like, the first thing we see is the golf club guys are being jerks, and then Josh tries to cut the dude's finger off, and he fucks up his hand. And it's like, oh, so he's probably going to come back and be like, I'm going to get you for what you did to my hand. I can't play golf anymore.
Yeah.
But he just gets fucking eaten.
Yeah. And
the badge gets passed on to the next one.
Yeah, and then, you know, I actually enjoyed the golf club. They were like, I know technically speaking they didn't have a reason to be with the jocks, but it made sense because they're kind of like lame but trying to be jocks, and they don't really fit in. And
it's not a contact sport, but it is still a sport, so that's kind of where they fit the best, is with the jocks, and that's why the jocks accept them but don't particularly like them.
And they keep getting like fucked up and screwed over, and they keep losing members. And I really liked the scene where they're trying to recruit members and they just can't. It's just like no one wants to join the golf club. And there's like this kind of high school feel of like, you know, if you can't get the members, then you're out, and it's like, oh no, and all that kind of thing.
I mean, he's literally sitting in a high school hallway with like a little table set up, like recruiting members sign on the front, and like, yeah.
That had a bit of an anime feel to me. I don't know if you've watched many like high school Japanese anime.
Yeah,
things.
they do often have the high school social club things as like a new member joins the book club.
Yeah.
But it turns out the president is a witch.
Yeah, well, and also like it's I don't know about America, but it's something that I don't know what's happening here with the watch together. I'm just gonna refresh, see if I can get the. Oh.
It's stopped for me as well.
Yeah, it just keeps stopping. I don't think we need it on repeat for now anyway.
Okay, is this just going to be about Daybreak? It's about Daybreak, but we are going on several tangents.
Yeah, we'll go on tangents because we do go on tangents.
Yeah, we've been on a couple already.
Yeah. Do you? So, like, something that I feel like we should touch upon a little bit is because it's
Mark, everyone's done Sam. Weren't you paying attention?
That's actually, I do want to talk about that because that's a really interesting, weird thing that I think it is worth discussing. But no, did you also get the feeling of confusion? Like sometimes you're expecting let's just call it a SJW, like agenda comment, you know, where it's like kind of the left-leaning thing where it's like, you know, oh, pronouns, or like, you know, every time.
Well, there were quite a few of them, but they almost seemed to be making fun of themselves.
But not always. Sometimes
that was the kind of weird thing. Okay, so Sam is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Because she goes on a very strong feminist rant
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, so they're making the point of, you know, women are allowed to have sex and she doesn't have to be pure and perfect for him and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, which
But
I
they're
agree
also
with.
making her out to be the bad guy in that scene. And it's like, wait, are they saying that she's right or is she wrong? Where are they going with this? Or are they just doing this to make her look like a bitch?
Yeah. I
It,
don't
it
understand.
felt really weird. Like Mark says about how she screams at him for checking the consent app, but she gave it to him to show, like, look at all the people I fucked, and he looked at it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I can't believe you looked at it. It's like, what do you want him to do? What is the, like, is she supposed to be making him feel bad, or is she just supposed to be bad?
Okay, fuck it. We're talking about Sam. We're doing it. Okay, so in her episode, which I fucking hate, when he gets upset at her for having slept with other people, she's talking about wanting to be in, you know, she's like, I want to be polyamorous, I don't want to be tied down, I want to, you know, you can't expect me to be this, like, you know, perfect girl who saves herself for marriage and etc, and blah blah. Just because you're a virgin, I don't have to be a virgin. All this shit, and talking about how he can't be upset that she slept with other people. And she also has this, like, hey, you're not the prince who's coming to rescue me, I'm fine. You know, like, there wasn't anything about a relationship or anything like that. And then she gets pissed off he sleeps with that other girl.
Yeah.
And she puts all the post-its around him that's like, you're an asshole. And it's like, what? So you're allowed to... And I'm not sure... This is the crux of the problem.
Remember,
No, Doc, please. Let me finish.
They were broken up when he slept with the other girl.
Yes.
There was no reason for her to be mad about it. But she got fucking furious for no reason.
But this is the
She's
thing.
a hypocrite.
No, but this is the thing is, I don't know whether the writers, whether the show, whether the perspective is on her side or not. I'm not sure whether she's a crazy, stupid idiot and she's supposed to be portrayed like that or not, because it makes it seem like she's in the right because he cheated on her, but everything in the story supports him having them being broken up, having her being like, yeah, we can sleep with whoever we want, having, you know, like, you don't own me, so I don't own you, you know, kind of anarchy, relationship. Yeah, it's like, there is no reason. Is she supposed to be a hypocrite, or does she just come off as a hypocrite because they don't know how to write?
I don't know. I can't figure it out. I literally cannot figure it out.
This is the problem with the show. This is I wasn't planning on getting here quite yet, but this is the problem.
People
with the show
kept bringing
for
up
me.
Sam. It was going to happen.
Yeah. This is why I lost my fucking mind watching this show, because I don't understand what it's trying to say ever. Like, sometimes it's smart and good and funny, and other times it makes no sense and goes back on what it did, or like, it feels like in miniature parts of every episode, a random person with an agenda pops in and drops a line or two, or like puts a scene in because it's like, a scene that I want to, and it feels like, yeah. It doesn't feel like loads of writers were fucking things up. It feels like loads of writers were writing different scenes, completely apart from each other. Sorry, that just...
So I can see what Urkel's saying here in the chat. I think she was fake pissed off because of the hypocrisy, not the actual sleeping with somebody. She didn't stay pissed off, so she was putting it on to make a point. I don't think that was fake pissed off. She was mad at him. She was genuinely like, I can't believe that you would sleep with somebody else when you're supposed to be in love with me.
Yeah. It in no way did they put that across to the audience. Yeah.
I think that she was just incredibly poorly written. I think that she had an agenda. The writer for her had an agenda that completely failed to get put across in any meaningful way. If they were trying to push for like, women are free to do what they want, they failed at that. If they were trying to push for you should be with the person that you love. They failed to push that. Like, I don't know what they
But-
were going for with her character.
But it could also be genius writing, because that is what feminism is like nowadays. It could literally be really fucking intelligent, and it's taking a step back, going meta, and being like,
it could. But
this
it
is
feels
what.
like that. Even that wasn't particularly handled very well.
No, it could just be like the blood. It could just be subtext. Because it
maybe.
works, and does it accidentally work? Is it accidentally make sense?
Do you remember what I said on the Discord after I think I'd watched like 2 or 3 episodes?
Do
I
you
said
think
I
it's
can't
secretly
tell
genius?
yet. Yeah, I can't tell if this is secretly genius or not.
Yeah.
And that just plays out through the whole thing where I don't know what they would. Was it intentional?
It could be. This is what hurts me. Is like I want to like it, and therefore I'm like this is maybe really clever because it could be a commentary on. It's nothing like Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is just. Yeah,
I don't have the IQ to understand Rick and Morty. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
I tried. I sat through an entire season, and I don't know what happened in any of it.
I
It went way over my head.
I can watch it and enjoy it as entertainment, but if you ask me what happened in any of the episodes, I'd be like, I don't really remember. It's.
I've already seen The Simpsons and Futurama, so
yeah. Futurama, no, Futurama's better than.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I've already seen all the things that Rick and Morty could possibly do. I've seen it before, so it's.
And it like The Simpsons and Futurama, at least the ones that I watched, didn't have the condescending attitude that Rick and Morty has, which is just it puts me off.
Yeah, Rick and Morty is a perfect example though of the fan base being worse than the show in that particular regard.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously like a vocal minority, but it just.
It doesn't help.
But yeah, like this is what I was saying is like, it's very very. It could be very very intelligent because if you go on social media nowadays, you will see feminists arguing with each other about what is feminist and what isn't. Like there's feminists who believe in, fucking everything. Some of them are talking about,
Well, yeah, there are like different factions
and
the people who are strongly socially active in regards to feminism.
Yeah.
Which is like the ones that want this, the ones that think these should be kicked out, the ones that like it this way, the ones that want it that way. There's sex positive and sex negative. There's the perfect 2 examples. Sex positive feminists, I can sleep with whoever I want. Sex negative feminists, I should sleep with the people that I want to and nobody else.
Yeah.
And it's like they're both technically right in their own camps, but the 2 camps can't really intermingle. And Sam is like both of them.
Yeah.
And that's like I couldn't tell. Like that's what I say. Was her character designed to be a bitch, or was she just poorly written? What happened with her?
You can't tell. This is because I want a definitive stance I can take, but it's just I can't figure out what they were trying to do or what they were trying to display or anything ever for this fucking. So it
using the same sex positive, sex negative thing. Which one was Sam?
Both.
That doesn't work though. Like that's the problem. Which like you have to be one or the other.
But
which one was she? It's like she's sex positive for herself, sex negative for other people.
See, this is the thing is she's whichever one makes her right.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely. Josh was looking at the whole thing in denial. Like he was only showing us the really good stuff that he saw, which wasn't even anything.
Yeah.
Like we didn't actually see any really good things about her, even in his flashbacks. Just that he really liked her. Like, did you notice almost all of the flashback scenes with like Josh remembering Sam? She wasn't talking.
Yeah.
Or specifically, she wasn't talking to him. That's all that he really remembered was, wow, she's so pretty.
He was observing her, and like she was putting on her front of being friendly to everyone, and how all this kind of stuff. And
Which
it's
that again, if she is, as we know from finishing the show, a massive cunt.
yeah.
Why was she pretending to be friendly to people? Like, what gave her that idea to make that video where she goes around and tries to peer people up if she is such a massive
Well,
cunt? Well, why did that happen?
Well, she didn't. She was just doing it, and then he decided to record it, and then he put it up.
Why
and it made
was
her...
she doing it?
Who knows? But she was a nice person then.
She is a massive bitch. She is like legitimately like if it was a Disney movie, she would play the evil queen.
She's hypocritical. She's an asshole.
But for some reason, one day while at the mall with Josh, she was like, "I'm gonna go around and just say nice things to people and cheer them up." Why?
And she oh. This is hurting.
It doesn't like her. I can't tell if was her character just that poorly written. Did they have a different plan for her in the beginning? What like? I don't. If it's the themes. No.
Fuck
it doesn't
you
fit
and your
the overall
themes.
theme of everybody is a monster because her theme was that she was. If they had have stuck with her theme of her being a bitch the whole time and Josh in his flashback,
she should have been Baron Triumph.
Great. She should have been a bitch to those people in the mall.
Yeah.
We could have just had him like following her around in complete silence with him just looking at how pretty she is and we can't hear what she's saying. And in a flashback reveal that she's going around insulting people and just being snarky. That would have fit better.
Why was she just passively in the jock camp farming stuff?
Because she fucked all the jocks.
Yeah, but why did she get upset when he broke up with her? Why did she lift up Wesley Fists?
Did she get upset?
Yeah, she had that talk with Wesley.
Yeah,
and they helped each other out.
That was her talking to Wesley. But then she went to the football game. She didn't seem particularly upset. She was upset when he dumped her.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of moved on.
I don't think we saw enough of her to tell like definitively like whether she moved on or.
She didn't seem particularly upset. She went to a football match.
Yeah. But I mean that's.
Although I suppose she was like the prom queen sort of thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't she or something? What do they call it?
The gender neutral
monarch.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like what is she a quadruplet and she has 4 different versions of herself, like twins who are completely different people? Is that the reveal that we never got?
Wait for season 2. I don't know. I did like it was pretty obvious that she wasn't going to accept him at the end, which I thought that kind of scene was played a bit weirdly where he was like, "I'm so happy to be with you, I love you," and she's just like, "No." Like that wasn't I think it was supposed to be shocking that she didn't really care about him, but it wasn't because everybody could see it.
That whole last episode, her and Josh thing, was to use a recent comparison. That was like TLJ levels of no setup and something just happens.
We see that she's not a nice person.
I mean,
and that every interaction she has with Josh.
I mean, like this is the thing is like.
She's clearly putting on some kind of facade with the students and the principal and everything, where she's pretending to be nice. But then when we see her, like, out of character, when she's not playing that role of the nice person, she is kind of a bitch to everyone.
I think what they were. This is. I may have made up my mind. I don't know. TLJ, The Last Jedi. Basically, like, where they just do stuff and they don't set anything up, and everyone's just like, why did that happen? So I feel like what they wanted to represent her as was this. I think that whole what's it called, imposter syndrome. I think that's what they wanted to put across with her. What they wanted her to be is this, really nice girl who everyone loves, and she herself is a bit of a, neurotic mess. She's like, people shouldn't like me, like...
That's what I thought they were kind of going for when she initially started having her thing with Josh, where she's saying, like, I'm not the nice girl you think I am.
Yeah.
I thought that it was going to be like, she was just... Yeah, imposter syndrome, yeah.
I think they were kind of trying to build a relationship where both of the people were kind of, blinkered. He was blinkered because he'd done the same thing everyone else had and turned her into this image that he saw of her, which she felt she wasn't. But at the same time, she kept, being nice to everyone. Everyone liked her, and she's like, I'm not actually a nice person, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like at that point, on that episode, whoever was writing her got abducted by aliens, and someone else had to finish it. And they got the complete wrong end of the stick, and they went, oh, she's a bitch. Okay, she's going to be the queen. Even though that's what she didn't want, and she didn't want the entire time up until this moment, she didn't want to be the popular person who everyone likes but no one understands. And now she's like, I want to be a dictator, which, that's exactly what it's exactly what she didn't want. It doesn't make any fucking sense. No, I hate it. I hate it.
Up until that turn,
yeah,
she kind of does just feel like the popular person who doesn't want to be popular, and everyone sees her as perfect, but she knows that nobody's perfect. It's like it's okay, and then she just turns and she's like, and now I'm the queen.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, hang on. When? Why is everybody now listening to you?
Yeah.
Like, I get why, I can kind of understand vaguely that she released, or Josh released a video of her being nice to people in the mall, so everyone saw it, it went viral, and she became popular.
But sure. she was nice to everyone, and she was already liked by everyone in the school.
Yeah, she was already, wasn't she the one that all the new kids, they introduced to her first, and she takes them around the school? She was well known, she was liked, she was popular. She didn't want any of that. She was wanted to be, I guess it was, maybe it was like a commentary on social media where a person can post something, it goes viral, suddenly they're now mega popular, they just want to be a normal person. That's who she was trying to be. Then she just flips, and I'm a dictator.
I think that's what it was supposed to be, is it wasn't her being popular in the school, it was the video that got released, and
the idea
she got all the negative
popular,
comments.
Was probably
yeah.
That was probably something that they were going for with her breakdown with Josh in the apartment, where she has a rant at him. It's like, you're not in love with me, you're in love with the idea of me.
And she's talking about all the negative comments she's been getting, and she's been, that felt like something, but then it just never came up again. Because that could be something. If they'd have gone deeper into that and had it been her being really popular, and then she becomes viral popular, and everyone loves her, except for she's getting all these mean comments at the same time. She can't stop reading them. It could turn into her really she realizes she really cares what people thinks and all that kind of thing, and or she just ignores it and takes a downturn personality-wise. But none of that was ever touched again. It was just I'm getting mean comments, I'm upset, I'm not the person you think I am. Cut after the apocalypse. Now I'm a bitch.
Well, no, even in the scenes we see her up until the last half of the final episode, she's still being really nice to everyone.
Yeah.
She's not even a bitch yet.
Yeah.
Is she
pretending?
Hiding it? Is she was this some master plan of hers to just continue acting nice until everyone that was stronger than her was dead or something.
See, this is why I maintain that she should have been Baron Triumph.
It would have worked better.
Like, I love Matthew Broderick, and I think he does great as Baron Triumph. I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit more at some point. But if she was Baron Triumph, she could have been that could have been her alter ego. You know, that could have been her living out her fantasies of not being nice to everyone. You know,
I mean, it would have worked in that, like, she was nice to everyone, but she didn't want to be, and she was secretly deep down a horrible person. And then the apocalypse happened, and she was just like, "I'm free to do whatever the fuck I want now."
And then that could have worked its way up to the end, and you know.
And instead, we got Baron Triumph, who was, I'm the principal, who's really nice, but actually kind of horrible deep down inside. And the apocalypse happened, and
I mean, even before the apocalypse, he was an asshole.
Yeah, that's what I said. He was kind of a horrible person, but he did okay. And then the apocalypse happened, and it's not because he's a horrible person that he starts killing and eating children. It's because he turns into a half ghoulie.
Yeah.
Which I felt was weird. Like, they could have just been like, "Oh, me? No, I didn't turn. I've just always wanted to murder and eat children.
Yeah.
I fucking hate all of you." But instead, he was part ghoulie, so it was like, "Oh, okay. We can't even really fault him for it."
Yeah, that stuff seemed rushed and mostly swept to the side as well. The whole, like, he's a ghoulie, but he's perfectly normal.
Actually, that reminds me of Miss Crumble.
Yeah.
Like, the Miss Crumble thing where she's, like, ghoulie but not, and then she has her episode where she has all the flashbacks and she thinks she's on a TV show and everything.
I love that episode.
She says that her problem is that she has brain damage in that episode because she gets pushed down the stairs.
Yeah.
So is that what's wrong with her, or is she a ghoulie but not completely turned? Did she only half turn because of the brain damage? Like, what is it? Because she's definitely not human. You see in the first episode that we see her in, Josh sticks his entire arm down her throat after she opens herself up like a fucking Pez dispenser.
Yeah, that's creepy. I like that.
I really liked that scene. I thought that was quite well done.
Yeah.
But she's obviously not human. So what does the brain, is the brain damage what stopped her from turning completely? And if that's so, what happened with Baron Triumph? How come he didn't turn all the way? Like, we just skipped that.
Wasn't it supposed to be the HPV vaccine that saved everyone from turning?
Well, that's what he said, but that felt like a thing that he just made up almost.
Yeah. See you later, Rake. I don't know. Was there a definitive answer, or was it just a whole load
We
of
don't even
conjecture?
know if she actually had brain damage.
No.
Did she actually get pushed down the stairs? Because that was part of her flashback thing of remembering the principal pushed her.
Yeah.
But did he do that? Did that actually happen, or was that just a flashback? Was it a hallucination? Was she just insane?
Was it part of the crazy part of her being like a half ghoulie, like not knowing what's real and what's not? Is it just like because they were fighting going against the principal, was she now remembering him being evil even though that didn't happen? Like, like all of the stuff where the principal was an actual asshole before the apocalypse was her memory as a ghoulie.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily...
Well, no, because we remember him. He did turn on that kid and do the "I want you to eat my shit" scene.
Did he though?
Yeah, he was pretty nasty. He was nasty to the serial kid.
Yeah, but whose flashback was that?
Wasn't that just a memory from him?
Which, again, if he's a ghoulie or part ghoulie,
No, I don't think that's supposed to be like a fake memory thing. I think that actually really happened. I think he was genuinely, like, I think he was like a weird character he was genuine in his desire to help the students. He was also genuine in his hate for them that had developed over the years.
Yeah. The principal and Miss Crumble were the only two adults who were inside the lead-lined school, which is why they're...
So didn't they say something about there being asbestos in the walls and everything as well?
Yeah. No, I
that
mean,
could explain part of it. Maybe.
absolutely, Miss Crumble's weird ramblings and bizarre, some of the comedy in this is really strong. Like her with the maggots, and then being like, she comes to heal Turbo with the maggots, and then has like a normal conversation, and then just starts eating the maggots and wanders off, and it's just like that comedic pause bit was that was great. I loved it.
Yeah, she did really. Who played her? I can't remember.
I don't know the actress.
That actor did really well.
Yeah.
Uh,
She
Krista Rodriguez.
she gave me what the fuck is her name? Helen Bonham Carter vibes.
Yeah, except less meth.
Yeah. Less meth, less less actual actress being crazy. I have a feeling she may have just been playing Helen Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
It's like
She was definitely channeling her a little there, but she did it really well because she was amusing, not necessarily funny. Like she wasn't saying jokes, but the things she did were amusing.
Yeah, it was kind of situational comedy, a lot of it. She was just playing her character straight, but the character was funny, so it was funny.
But no, I definitely feel like it would have been better with her having like half a season as the witch before they found out that she's not actually all that insane. Like she is, but she's not as insane as everyone else.
Well, I think, if we're talking about things that could have been good, I think they should have had the introduction, had the Eli. We haven't even spoken about Eli yet, by the way.
But he's forgettable. What does he bring to the show?
There's one thing: the flashback invasion.
Well, yeah, but what does that bring to the show?
I love it.
That brings something. No, like he did good stuff. He was amusing as a character, but he didn't really. He could have been nothing. Like he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
His girlfriend that we didn't even know was real did more than him.
No, she's not real.
She is real.
She's not. This is the thing. She isn't real. He told them that she, you must have missed this bit. He said she's just a mannequin or something like that, or just a doll.
When he was dying, yeah.
Yeah.
But Josh talks to her and he's not there. Josh sits and has a conversation with her while looking at the painting that he's been doing.
Yeah, but that was his imagination. That was like him, dealing with stuff. He's hallucinating.
Was he though?
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
There's a bit where he realizes that she wasn't real. I can't remember exactly. Mark, help me out here. I'm pretty sure he was like, oh, she wasn't real. He because he says that he met her, and then he's like, yeah, no, she's not real, dude.
I mean, just going by the wiki for Daybreak, which may or may not be true.
Yeah.
It does say romances, Mavis, possibly imaginary.
Yeah, I don't think it there's openness there as to whether she's real or not, but I took it basically to because he says she's imaginary, she's not real.
I don't know. I don't know if she's real or not. It doesn't really clear that up. Eli saying that doesn't really confirm it for me.
I mean, I feel like it should. Mostly.
Well, it would if Josh hadn't sat and had a conversation with her completely separate from Eli.
But, that instant seemed like he was hallucinating. That felt like a hallucination to me, personally, but...
Well, why was Josh hallucinating?
Because of the painting on the buildings and the scene was very surreal. The whole scene was presented as very surreal.
Yeah, but it kind of seems like something that's a person might do, like a kind of kooky artistic type, just painting a big, what was it, a tree?
Yeah, it's like a tree over all the buildings, so you can see it like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly open to the idea that Mavis is real. I don't think she's gonna ever come back again, to be honest. But yeah, it's do we want to get onto Eli and talk about how his death
Sure.
and his whole thing? Let me grab a drink very quickly, just because I need something to keep me going through this fucking brain spiral I'm going on. So Eli, interesting start. They didn't really do anything with him, and then we had the Eli episode with some of his flashbacks. Wait, did Doc go for a drink too?
No. I'm here. I'm just looking at like things on potential. Like season 2 is apparently happening.
I can understand that. It was interesting enough that if you don't look too deeply into it, if you can, if you can.
So there's a line here: out the left field could be Mavis, the girlfriend of the now dead Eli. There's still every chance Mavis may not even exist. Like we don't. It's not. It's never confirmed. It could go either way, and I'm expecting them to go the way of her being real.
Yeah, I could see that.
Or potentially a ghost.
I wouldn't imagine they'd go that way with it.
I kind of feel that maybe she might not be real, but she might continue showing up as a person. I don't feel like Josh created her. I don't think that he was a figment of her imagination.
Yeah, she was a figment of his, but yeah, no, you're right. They could take it.
Yeah, you know what I meant. Yeah.
Like the nice thing about the show is it's very unpredictable in the sense that you're not always sure what they're going to do. Sometimes they go obvious trope, and sometimes they just pull something out of left field, and you're like, okay. And sometimes they pull something out of right field, and you're like, oh god. It's. Is it a fucking mess, or is it well done, or, this is no, stop it. Let's get to Eli. Let's go through the Eli thing because I need to talk about Eli. I love the episode with the flashback invasion. I thought that was a really nice addition to the whole Ferris Bueller, talk over, that whole feel. And then he's running through previous flashbacks and changing it and shouting about how he's a dick and everything, and
Yeah. Wait, wasn't that a scene in Ferris Bueller where someone else starts talking to the camera and he's like, no, hey, you look at me. I'm talking.
I think so.
No, I'm the star here. You talk to. You don't talk to the camera. It was well done. I liked that. I kind of liked that so much of the show was told through flashbacks, and each time we saw the flashback, we were seeing it from a new light. Like for when we saw Sam talking to Wesley on the stairs.
Yeah.
We saw that I think 3 times, and each time it had different meaning. The first time it was like, oh, these 2 people are talking. The second time was after we learned that Wesley had a fight with his boyfriend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it has different meaning now. And then the third time it was after Sam had broken up with Josh, and it's like, oh, it's taken on a third new meaning, this whole conversation.
It's really good. Yeah. One thing I'd have liked to see, and this is just my own. I don't think it would work for very many people. I think I personally would have loved to see it. Is the entire confrontation with Baron, the principal, Matthew Broderick, taking part in flashbacks, and they're fighting through flashbacks in a really fourth wall breaking way.
Which fight?
No, just the final confrontation. Instead of it having real kind of meaning or anything, I wish they'd gone fucking super surreal and had Matthew Broderick actually go Ferris Bueller's Day Off and break the fourth wall and and they like fight through flashbacks and like all that kind of thing, and have it be really weird.
Right, yeah. So like, Josh is having a flashback, and then principal shows up.
Yeah, and
Or he's having a flashback in the office when the principal's telling him it's no nuts campus.
Yeah, and then he like
just
gets up
he
and
puts the mask on and starts attacking him, and they fight it out, and then
Yeah.
they go to a different. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
and like like he's like talking over the thing, and then the principal stands up and he's like real in the flashback and starts like chasing him through other flashbacks, and
That kind of feels like the kind of thing that this show would actually do and
Yeah.
could pull off.
you know
They did a lot of those things quite well.
that's why I was wondering whether that was the way they were going to go, and then they went for a Lord of the Rings style big battle, which I wasn't invested. Anyway, Eli, sorry. So we had the Eli flashbacks things, and then like they get to know each other, chasing each other through the flashbacks till they get to one of Eli's, and there's a little bit of like connection there. I'm like, oh,
I mean, isn't the connection literally just, oh, you like Magic the Gathering?
yeah, and oh, you like Pokemon, and
That's it. That's like, which is enough. In
Yeah.
high school, it's like two kids that don't really have anything in common and don't particularly like each other, and then it's like, oh, you play the same game I do. Do you want to hang out?
yeah, and
We
you
can
have
play the game.
you have this kind of like antagonistic friendship where they're like taking shots at each other, but also there's a bit of respect, and I thought it was really subtly done and really well done, and then they just kill him. He's dead.
Yeah. So when Josh asked Mavis if she is real or a hallucination, her answer is yes. But that is the kind of thing a kooky person like her would say in
Yeah.
response to that kind of question.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's never. They've left it very open to if she is or isn't real, and I feel like they're going for she is.
I would say just purely because of the actress, because that actress has been gaining some weight.
Is it? I think she's what's her name? Sister.
Her-
Angelica. Who's she? So Angelica is Olivia. What is it? Hang on. Portrayal Olivia Allen Lind. And what's Mavis's actress?
Natalie Allen Lind.
Yeah, it's her sister. I wonder if that'll be a thing.
Could be. I mean,
Actually, she does even. Oh, I wonder if that's what it is. Because Mavis, I'm looking at a picture of Mavis here, and she has like the blonde hair
Yeah.
with the colored streaks in it. Which isn't that what like Angelica?
Yeah,
Doesn't she have the colored streaks?
She had that too, yeah.
Maybe that's a thing. Maybe she was just a figment of Josh's imagination. She's grown up Angelica giving him advice, because little Angelica does that, but really, really poorly.
Yeah. But no, she was the actress who plays Mavis was in like Gotham, iZombie. She was the main character. She was the main character in The Gifted, which is like an X-Men show. Which again, I could talk
So
about The Gifted, but
It's the kind of thing where they would be remiss in not using her in season 2.
yeah, she's quite good. I always think that she's the main character in Cloak and Dagger, but they just look similar. It's not the same actress. Incidentally, another show that I could talk about quite a bit is fucking Cloak and Dagger.
I haven't seen it.
I actually think it's quite good. You know how there's really quite good character development and relationship stuff in Daybreak?
Sure.
Like Wesley Fists and Turbo.
Yeah,
in
that's
some respects.
that was the only one I could really think of was Wesley and Turbo, and a little bit of Angelica and Miss Crumble.
Yeah. That's
A lot of the other ones felt kind of.
Yeah, that's kind of what Cloak and Dagger is for me. Like, I don't really like the story. It's very generic, superhero-y. But the relationship between the two main characters is super interesting to me. And, like, their relationships with their family and the characters. So, yeah, I don't know whether... that's a whole other topic of conversation, because that's another one that confuses me. Not as much as Daybreak. Daybreak is a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Cloak and Dagger is like a mind hand job.
I was kind of hoping to come away from this with a bit more clarity on how I feel about it, but it seems to just be really solidifying the idea that I don't know if it's good or not.
Yeah.
Like, there are aspects that are really good.
I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping you'd come down on the I fucking hate it, so I can jump on with you and be like, yeah, me too. But it's hard to definitively say it's shit. The only super shit part about it is one character.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
I mean, like, give me another thing that doesn't involve Sam, like, directly, that's just terrible.
The mutants.
But that's not terrible. It's a wasted opportunity, but it's not terrible in itself. Like,
I think it was. Yes, it was a wasted opportunity, but I think that the inclusion of them was just, what did it, like,
yeah.
I don't know what they were there for.
They could very easily have not had them in, but having that small amount of them in, like, they weren't done badly. They just weren't done how they, like...
Okay, yeah, I guess we could say that they didn't add anything, but they also didn't necessarily subtract enough to say that they are absolutely shit. I will give you that.
They only subtract from the show because of what they could have been, because it was something interesting that they didn't flow through on.
It's some weird subtraction by addition. Like, by having them in there, they should have done something with them, but they didn't, and that makes it feel worse. I guess we could say Turbo killing the last of the golfers, that was absolutely shit. I don't know what happened with him.
Does he kill the last of the golfers?
Yes, the kid that he frames is the last golfer.
No, there's the other kid who was...
No, he's the second last golfer.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting that they had one left. I can't remember what happened to him. The last one.
He volunteered to be sacrificed.
Eaten. Which was weird, but okay.
That was so stupid. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, I'm so happy to be helpful, and he's missing an arm and a leg, and it's like, wait.
I think the problem is, one of the core problems of this show is, like, you could make an argument for that being smart. Because the kid has, like, lost his club and lost some of his friends, which,
And so now he's
nihilistic.
Doing literally anything to be friends with someone, even if that one person that he's trying to be friends with is literally eating him.
Yeah.
Maybe I can kind of see it. It still felt weird that he was just so happy about it. I don't know.
But this is the thing. He becomes very nihilistic and basically suicidal, which could be a commentary on school. Like, people do, like, when they get isolated, they lose their friends, and they're just, the only person left. They can, conflate that horribly and feel like they're all alone, and they'll get very nihilistic and suicidal and just be like, yeah, sure, eat me, whatever. I've got nothing left. And so that you can make an argument.
It could
for
be
it,
that we're writing the show for them. It could be that. It could have just been really shitty writing.
Yes.
We don't really know because it's not clear. It's not that it's not clear. It's not even vaguely alluded to. We're just making that maybe that could have been what they were doing.
But there's enough there that it could, like, and there are other bits where it's a bit more obvious, and you can say, like, oh yeah, that was really smart, or like the unicorn, is just a throwaway. I identify as a starfish or something. I can't remember, but that made me laugh, and I was like, wow, that's. Was that a joke? Was that poking fun at themselves and Florida, or not Florida, and LA, and like the whole acceptance of all pronouns and everything? Like,
there was a couple of those lines, and most of them kind of worked, because even the ones where they were kind of serious about it, they also weren't. Like, I think in the first episode, one of the golfers asked just something like, "What are you, gay?" The other kid turns to him, he's like, "Oh, dude."
No. It's the you're gonna be our slave.
Oh yeah, that's
And,
right.
and he's like,
And
no,
he's like,
no, no,
"Well,
no.
well, you can't use that kind of word."
Indentured worker.
There is something where one of them says something along the lines of, "What are you, gay?" And one of the other kids turns to him and is like, "No, no, you can't do that. You can't say that." And
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it feels like it's definitely got that message of don't use these words to insult people, but it's played in a way that is actually still amusing and doesn't make it feel
Yeah,
like it's ham-fisted.
it's comedic and it's well timed and everything about it is crafted well. So it like the example that I'd use is like Ghostbusters. You know, that the I can't remember her name, Patty, the black character. She jumps off the stage and no one catches her, and she literally writes out, you know, she telegraphs the message of that joke as, I don't know if it was a lady thing or a black thing, but I'm pissed as hell.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
that's an example of like a ham-fisted social message wrapped up in a joke, and it just doesn't work. It's just it's cringy and shit basically. Whereas the ones they do, like, you know, there might be something to take from it, you know, some kind of social or cultural message or whatever, but ultimately it's a well-crafted joke, so it doesn't feel like it's...
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're trying to force a joke.
No.
It feels like that's the kind of thing that would naturally happen, and it's amusing and natural, and it has flow.
Yeah. So it doesn't feel like treating you like an idiot.
Actually, I can't think of very many instances in that show where they actually tell a joke.
No.
It's just situations happening that are funny.
Yeah.
And things happening, and it all flows one thing to the next. We never see the scene pause for the character to say, "I don't know if that was a black thing or a woman thing, but I'm mad as..." That never happens. Yeah. Everything just moves and goes very naturally. The acting was generally very well done in that regard.
Yeah, I think it's part of the reason I want to think it's smart and like it is because the comedy aspect of it is very well done. Even if I'm not like 100% on board with all of the jokes, there are a few examples like the dog having sex with the guy felt stupid and pointless.
Yeah, that whole scene to me,
it felt like a fart joke. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
I did kind of like that, like they were pretending that it was Baron Triumph and he's captured a kid, and then the jock comes up to save him. I actually liked that scene. I thought that was cool. Like, obviously this is going to go wrong. How's it going to go wrong? The jock that they were all scared of comes to save them.
Yeah.
And then he just like runs off and gets mauled by a dog, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. But like I thought Eli had been stabbed, and I was like, oh, Eli's dead. And then they carried on the scene with them both laughing at the dog raping the dude,
which was kind of weird, but yeah.
And like
I guess they were just kind of showing that the mutant animals were still kind of behaving like themselves, just bigger.
Yeah, I understand that, but
yeah, it didn't fit.
That was like a goofy kind of like, oh, look at the... It's, as I said, it's like a fart joke, like a badly constructed fart joke. And then it's like, oh, by the way, I'm dying. And it's like, what? Like it was like a sharp left and then a sharp right turn. You end up back where you were. There was no reason for the... But
yeah, you get a bit of whiplash from that scene.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, bye. And I'm just like...
And he's like, what about Mavis? But she's a mannequin. Like, wait, what? What?
Is she? What? Who? Like, okay, bye. And I liked the... See, this is the thing, is like, I was thinking, oh, Eli's gonna die, you know, as they go in and try to save Sam, and there's gonna be like he's gonna sacrifice himself, maybe, I don't know, because they were like bonding and it was like an emotional thing. I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going, but then it's just like it felt like the kind of nihilistic films and TV shows where a character is just fucking killed out of nowhere, and you're like, oh god, what? You know, like
Game of Thrones scene.
Game of Thrones, or maybe more like The Departed, when Leonardo DiCaprio gets just shot in the head. It felt like they were going for something like that.
There's a lot of scenes like that in shows where they think everything's okay, but then the character just dies. And it's like, oh shit, he just died. But we didn't get enough time with Eli.
No. There was no, like...
We didn't get enough time with anybody except Josh and Sam, which fucking sucked.
Well, Wesley we got a decent amount of time with, I feel.
I still feel like we could have got more.
Yeah, well,
like,
I
really liked Wesley. I really liked Turbo
and
Wesley together. Turbo away from Wesley was just like a horrible evil person, but when Wesley was around, you could see there was that struggle, and it was great, and it worked really well. But there wasn't enough of it. Like, I really think that like season 1 should have been 3 seasons.
This is the thing, right? Is do you think part of the problem with the show is that you could take out Josh and Sam and have just Wesley and Turbo, and it would be like, it'd be more appealing? Because
no.
I'd be really interested in seeing a lot more of Turbo and Wesley and that whole, you know, like that storyline without all.
No, because Wesley needed people with him. I think that if he hadn't have bumped into Josh and Angelica in the first episode, he probably would have just continued on with his little Ronin roleplay.
Yeah.
But meeting them helped him to develop and change and realize, I have to, you know, face whatever the horrible thing was. I don't even really remember where it.
His
like, other than Turbo being super jealous.
Well, don't you remember his cousin wanted him to throw the game, and Turbo like was trying to manipulate him into like injuring his cousin in a kind of cheaty way in the game, because Turbo wanted to win, and he ended up injuring his cousin, and they won the game.
Right.
And
that's it. That, like, the way he plays it out, it's like, I felt like it was going to reveal more that he had been kind of Turbo's right-hand man in more ways than one. Like, he'd been killing kids for Turbo or something.
It didn't really.
Then one day he kind of was like, I have to stop this. I have to leave, and I'm going to become a pacifist. And off he went. So no longer kill kids.
That did happen. Like, there was reference made to him killing kids, or like. No, there wasn't. What it was is Turbo jealousy. Wasn't. I thought, because that was what I was expecting, but they went the soft route.
The only thing he really did was the beating his cousin, like, because his cousin was like, I need this win to get my scholarship.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, but I love Turbo and he wants me to hurt you, so I'm going to do it. And that was his entire motivation for becoming a pacifist samurai.
Well, the other motivation... I
felt like there might have been intended to be more motivation in him actually doing it. Because that's one of the... It's kind of like, okay, that's bad, but it's not...
No, I
take up a pacifist vow bad.
Yeah, the other... I think that was like the past, you know, kind of high school... him being an asshole. You know, we had other allusions to him being an asshole and letting Turbo get away with stuff and letting the other jocks get away with stuff and not really lifting a hand to help people in need.
Yeah, and you could see he wasn't particularly into it, but he kind of played along most of the time and was like, oh, that's funny, he knocked you over. You're right? Okay, cool, whatever.
That's supposed to play in to Turbo getting jealous of people like talking to and all that kind of thing with Wesley and then killing them, and he let that happen. He let Turbo kill people who talked to him and who made Turbo jealous.
I guess, maybe he kind of felt guilty for not stopping him.
It's not enough for like the story they're trying to build.
I guess maybe like 90% of the show is just high school drama turned up to post-apocalyptic level.
But it's not always turned up to post-apocalyptic level. You know, like
maybe that's all they were going for with that, though, was just he felt really bad because his boyfriend was beating people up that talked to him.
Yeah.
Like if we were going just as a high school thing, it's like his boyfriend was really jealous and got really angry at people that talked to him.
Yeah.
And
But
he felt really bad about it, so he distanced himself from his boyfriend and his social circle and went off on his own and ended up making friends with the nerdy kids.
yeah,
Maybe that was,
and
but they
that's
turned it up to being like pacifist samurai.
and it's cool at the same time as not making enough sense for it to
Yeah,
completely
it's like
work.
it's really good, but I want more.
It doesn't
I
quite
wanted
get
more
there.
of that.
And how shitty was Turbo in the first few episodes? Like in terms of interesting character.
I think so I feel like
He
he
was
was
a
done
good-
really well for
yeah.
what he was. He was a generic bad guy in a mask who was the leader of the other generic bad guys. Like he was,
But
like they even had Mona, his sidekick
Yeah.
chick, who played the mouthpiece for him. Like I think that was done really well
yeah,
because he didn't have a story because he didn't need one yet, and then
Yeah.
his story kind of unfolded as we learned about Wesley and him and their relationships and
And
everybody else around them.
how
And then we
good.
start seeing flashbacks of Turbo being an actual nice guy, like when they're playing fucking Street Fighter or whatever it was, or Mortal Kombat,
Yeah,
and
and
like
how
it
good.
was like, oh, Turbo was actually a good kid, and then he just kind of went off the rails during the apocalypse, like everybody else.
He had aspects of himself that were, I'm not going to say toxic, but they were like obvious flaws
Yeah,
where
he wasn't necessarily a horrible person before the apocalypse. He was
Yeah.
flawed. He was still an angry person.
and his
but he
flaws
was-
came to the surface through the apocalypse.
Yeah, which I think is what happened with everybody. They kind of it took every aspect of them and turned it right up, which is probably how we get
There's your theme.
into
you know.
the groups, the different gangs that formed.
Yeah.
It was like the Apple group was just, they were the kids who used Apple products, but then they turned that up to 11 with the apocalypse, and now
Yeah.
they're all looking like Steve Jobs. And
Yeah.
the farmer group, like all of the different groups was just who they were before cranked up,
Yeah, and that's
which is
that would be classified as an actual theme as opposed to the monster inside you, because that really wasn't a theme, I wouldn't say.
no.
But like starting off, he was just I'd almost call him Vegeta in some ways. Like starting off, he was very one note bad guy, and then you slowly learn more about him. You understand his motivations, and then like the moment I started to like him was the speech. I loved that speech. That was great. And
The one where he just roars and the text flies past.
Yeah, you got the subtitles and like he's
Yeah.
playing with the dolls and everything. Like that's great.
I actually I considered like stopping and trying to read it. I just didn't bother.
Yeah.
I didn't need it.
you
I
didn't-
got the point that he was making a big, serious, emotional speech, but nobody could really understand it, and it was like, okay, that's good enough.
Yeah, I think that's another time when I'm like, man, that's quite pretty clever. I like it, And how good was Turbo in the last couple of episodes? Turbo and Wesley Fists and their relationship and everything. Like,
I mostly
what we
liked
saw
it.
of it. Yeah. The duel at the end, I thought was really, really fucking clever.
I didn't at all.
You didn't like it?
Okay, so they were going to have a duel.
Yeah.
Wesley was like, we have to have a duel to the death. This is
Yeah.
the only way for me to redeem myself.
Yeah.
And then Turbo's like, okay, we got these guns. We'll use these guns. And then they stand at their 20 paces or whatever.
Yeah.
First of all, the guns by appearance would have been shotguns, which you don't use those for dueling because it's really hard to miss. Secondly, Turbo makes a pseudo noble sacrifice. He just points his gun up in the air. He's like, go ahead, shoot me.
Yeah.
This is how much I love you. I will let you redeem yourself, even if it costs me my life.
Yeah.
But he knew all along that it wasn't a real gun and he was in no danger.
Yes.
He was manipulating Wesley.
I will say something before you carry on. I hated it to begin with too. Like,
Okay.
when it happened, I fucking despised it, and I was like, what the fuck is this scene? This is stupid. But I thought about it, and I now have shifted my opinion.
Okay. Well, you know why I really disliked it, because
Okay.
from just like as soon as I watched it, I was like, wait, he knew what it was.
Yeah.
He knew, like, because he showed him that it was the little thing on the bottom where it
Yeah,
was like a
the
replica gun, and
replica.
he
Yeah.
knew all along that this was not. He was in no danger. He was making a false sacrifice.
Yeah. So,
So that was my reasoning for really disliking it. What changed your mind?
uh, it is a shot at the show itself, like self-deprecating humor almost, because it's basically Wesley is being super melodramatic about like their relationship, and like you take it to the parallels with high school, and Wesley's like, you're everything that's wrong for me, and we have
So,
to.
are you getting it? Wesley didn't actually need to have a duel to the death. He
Yeah.
just had to have. He just had to have that metaphorical hit in.
Well, what it was it wasn't it was Turbo manipulating Wesley, but it was Turbo manipulating Wesley for his own good, to show him how ridiculous he was being. Like with
I
Wesley's
can
flashback,
kind of see it,
like with
but at
Wesley.
the same time, I don't think Turbo's actually that smart. Nothing against the guy, but he didn't seem to be the master plan type.
Not in general, no, but in this instance, it's not a tactical thing. It's a relationship with Wes, and he's proven himself to be good at manipulating Wesley and other people and understanding relationships and stuff. So like he basically he he tricked Wesley and manipulated him when he realized that Wesley wanted a duel to the death, and he was being very melodramatic and very kind of like I need to, and it was basically all to get to the point of the reveal of this isn't real. You wanted to kill me, or you wanted to die, and then I'll do this overly. He gave Wesley what he wanted, this overly dramatic, romantic showdown, like in samurai films and all that kind of thing, and then he subverted it, and he went, yeah, this is all ridiculous, and that's kind of where they end up is.
Yeah, I can see it. I
And
can. I get the point. I still feel like it was just that fake sacrifice. I feel like Wesley's the kind of person who he would be smart enough to figure that out at some point. Like he might look back on it and be like, "Hang on a second, he
oh yeah, yeah, but
didn't
like
really
for the
sacrifice anything in that scene."
yeah, for the you know for the lead up, everything that had happened, it was all like escalation between those two and all this kind of thing. And like Wesley, I think the reason I like it is because I loved the RZA episode with the flashbacks, and the entire point of that episode really was Wesley realizing that he keeps lying to himself, and he makes up scenarios and fantasies in his head for what happened, and he keeps trying to run away from reality. So when it got like when we first had the bit, I was invested in Wesley and Turbo like having a duel to the death, and that's why I didn't like it, because I was like, oh fuck, like they just completely ruined that thing. But then when I thought about it, and I kept in my head the whole high school thing, and high school being life or death and all this kind of stuff. Again, it might be me reading too much into it, giving them more credit than they deserve, but
Which is a common theme with this show.
which is a common theme with this show. But when I took it from when I read into it myself, like the way I read into it was basically, it felt like it felt like it was similar to the RZA episode, where he ultimately can't run from the truth, and he has to be honest with himself. And the same thing here, where demanding a duel to the death with his lover to finally settle things, and it felt allegorical of high school breakups and arguments, where it feels a lot more serious than it actually is, and you know, all this kind of thing. So yeah, I like it.
I guess I don't think you'll change my mind on this bit. I felt just from
No,
seeing
I'm not looking to change your mind on this one. Like
yeah,
I
no,
can
I can see
totally
where you're coming from,
understand,
but
yeah.
I'm pretty firm in my belief that that was a very manipulative thing that Wesley will figure out at some point. He will see that as not being a an actual sacrifice.
Yeah.
Turbo was playing it out like he was making this sacrifice,
Yeah.
but he wasn't sacrificing anything.
Which is why I can totally see your side of things as well, because it's like
I guess really that makes it a good scene,
yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, you see, like
I don't like it, but it was a good scene.
I hate this show. It's so frustrating because you can never tell what the fuck anything means. Oh, because it could be like that scene could be really good or absolutely stupid. And
Yeah,
did they just get lucky
I don't know
over
if
and
they
over
were
again?
making it really good or if it just worked out that way because we're looking at it from a certain angle. Are we writing the show for them again?
No,
Like-
the real question is did they make a show that just got really, really lucky over and over again, whereby they accidentally made something smart and didn't realize it, and we can, like, that it just leaves it just open enough that it feels like it could be smart. And it's actually just, you know, they weren't thinking about any of this.
Or maybe we're just like really stupid and the show is actually just brilliant all along and we just don't get it.
Yeah. It could be, like, it's such a bizarre show, and I don't know how they managed it. I'd love to be there. You know, like one of the great things about Game of Thrones and the decline of Game of Thrones is that you have the writers there trying to explain their decisions, and you can, like, they basically tell you we're fucking stupid and we don't know how to write properly.
They weren't trying to explain their decisions. They were trying to excuse their decisions. Oh,
yeah.
Danny just forgot about the boats. No.
Yeah. But
she didn't.
What I'm saying is it ultimately shows them as you know, you can't go like, oh, was that like secretly, did they have another plan? Or no, they come out and they say we're stupid and we write really badly. There you go. That's it. But with this, there's no explanation. I need someone to come out and tell me whether you're fucking stupid or not. Who wrote this? Wait, who did write this? Daybreak writers.
They also could go a bit like The Room.
Well, I'd searched Daybreak writers and Matthew Broderick came up, but okay, so it was directed by 5 different people. One person had 4 episodes, one had 2, one had 2, one had 1, and one had 1. Okay, just bear with me for a second, right? One of the episodes, just one, was written by Kate Herron. She is the only female that I can see who directed an episode. I wonder which episode she directed. I kind of want to know. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 writers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have credits on 10 episodes, and 3 of them have credits on either 2 or 1 episode.
So it was created by Brad Payton and Aaron Eli Colliette.
Yeah.
Brad Payton, known for his wonderful films such as Journey to the Mysterious Island,
Okay.
San Andreas, which, you know, the one with The Rock.
Rampage,
the one with The Rock.
Frontier.
I guess that's where we get the action stuff from.
Yeah.
Is from Brad Payton, and then we get
he also
Aaron
had...
Eli Colliette, who worked on the comic book series Ultimate X-Men, which is probably where we get a lot of the character stuff from, and Heroes.
He was the creator and writer. He wrote 10 episodes for that. He's got writing credits. But Brad directed 2 episodes of the thing. So we need to go to director. He directed he directed the first episode. Brad, this is, and Schmuckbait. Which one is Schmuckbait? I need to pull up the episode. God, this is a rabbit hole we're going down, dude.
Well, I'm curious about how smart these people actually are. Was this intentional? Are they the kind of people who create like brilliant things and they've just continued doing that?
Okay, so Schmuckbait is episode 2. So the co-creator Brad directed the first 2 episodes. I don't know what that means. Because they were decent, the first 2 episodes. But
yeah, the early stuff is the better stuff.
Okay, so here we go. So the episode. Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, guess. Okay. I don't want this to turn into something or whatever. Guess who directed episode 8, the one that we fucking hate that makes no sense.
The only female.
Yeah. Does that explain it?
It kind of does.
It was written by Aaron Eli Codiette, apparently.
Yeah, that was the one that worked on the Heroes show.
Well, after it got bad.
I don't know, actually. God, that was another disappointing show that started off so well and then... Wait, hang on. Wasn't that show one of the victims of the writer's strike? The same one that killed Lost?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Heroes got fucking destroyed by the writer's strike. Because they didn't know where they were going. They didn't have a plan, I don't think.
Yeah, it's the same with a lot of shows, but I think Lost and Heroes are the 2 big ones.
I mean, there was a lot of setup for Heroes to go badly. Heroes...
There was also a lot of setup for it to go well.
Yeah, but the problem is with superhero things, it's always about escalation, which is why superhero stuff mostly doesn't work. Because, like, they refuse to end it, so it just keeps escalating until the stakes are non-existent, no one cares. There is exception for that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but seeing as they're carrying it on, that is retroactively going to be not true, because, you know, they're going to go back, and it's going to be like, oh my god, what will happen if the rhinoceros tries to rob someone in New York? And it's like, well, Captain Marvel can deal with it, who cares? But yeah, no, that is interesting, that the episode where everything... I would say... Before that, there's signs of things going wrong in the show, but episode 8, the one which is just about the day Sam and Josh broke up, yeah, that was a horrific fucking episode, and that was where I was like, okay, everything's done. I don't care. I also don't really, What is this? More information on something?
The director for the episode in which we meet Mavis.
Yeah.
He only did that one episode.
Yeah.
And he's got some writing credits here on shows like Lucifer and Doctor Who.
I like Lucifer. It's got issues, but yeah.
Gotham.
I like Gotham.
Like, he's got some stuff in here which I'm still trying to figure out if she's real or not. Sorry.
It's one of those things where you don't know. I don't know, man. Like, have we Have we both like crashed and burned at this point where it's just like just desperately looking for an explanation? What did okay, so let's just see. What did Kate Herron, what has she written? Apparently she's doing directing. Oh no, she was director for that, yeah. Oh, she directed Sex Education. I quite like that show. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, not really much in terms of directing that could be. A lot of shorts. Fangirl is a short. I don't know what that. Group of super fans break into a house of a faded 90s pop star. It looks pretty shitty. Smear. See, I would say just from looking at a few of these shorts that she's directed, it seems to be focused on women with a feminist tint. Just as a quick looky-loo. Hopeless romantic cynic realized that it seems to be a mix of feminism and romance stuff is what she directs.
See, that doesn't make sense either, because she wasn't even a good feminist.
No.
Like, it can't have been a mistake that she was massively hypocritical in her beliefs.
You know what it feels like? Like the feeling that I got from the writing of Sam and her character, and just, you know, it feels like Gillian Anderson was the worst part of Sex Education. Is Gillian Anderson in? Who's Gillian Anderson in Sex Education? Anyway, that's that. Yeah, it feels like the writing for a character feels like Bella in what's it called?
Twilight?
Twilight, yeah. It feels like whoever was writing her wanted, like, to try and give her character and didn't know how to, like they don't, and they were trying, they wanted like a romance that was poignant and had lots of.
See, I can't see it, because in my mind Bella is just like a blank person. She didn't have a thing. She was just there.
Well, I'm talking more about the romance and how everyone sees her and everything. Like, because she, like, Sam, for the majority of the series, is a blank person. Everyone puts stuff on her, but we know nothing about her.
Yeah, we only know Sam as the person who Josh is in love with, because she's so
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful and perfect. And I guess I can kind of see that, yeah.
It feels like the different directors and different writers like put random shit on her because she's supposed to be this cool character, and they all had different ideas about how she could be a cool character, which is why she keeps fucking changing.
Maybe. Apparently there is a comic for Daybreak, which I didn't actually realize.
Well, yeah, that's what it was based on. Although, from what I know,
I mean,
it has nothing to do with.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that it might actually be able to explain some of these things for us if one of us were to read it at some point. But if it's completely unrelated,
I think it's completely unrelated. You know, like yeah, I had a quick look and I didn't know what was going on. I think there's actually no dialogue in the comic. If I remember
I'm
correctly.
looking at some panels here, and there's little of it, but there is. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing what appears to be Josh with one arm and a pistol. So
Yeah, and the dialogue is, yeah, he breaks the fourth wall in the dialogue. That's what it was. It wasn't no dialogue. It's like he's talking to the reader a lot of the time. And yeah, it, like, even just looking at the panels for the comic, you can tell it's very different. I don't know. I'm tempted to read it, but it seems a lot more zombie apocalypse, bleak and everything. Survivalist, maybe.
yeah, it's a little. It's very messy looking.
Yeah. But you know that's and you know again this could be a drop pod all by itself, but that's just the creative dump that is Hollywood. It has no ideas and it doesn't want ideas. It just needs a name recognition to sell, you know, regurgitated shit. That's
Looking
why.
at these panels, it almost seems like Josh is schizophrenic or something.
Yeah.
Like he's talking to himself as though he's a different person that he's having a conversation with, and like criticizing himself and having discussions with himself about the stupid things he's doing.
Yeah. I've got one where he's having dinner with himself, or like a mannequin. I think it's a mannequin with no head, and like having a conversation with them. It's bizarre. Council of the Beard is soon. Do not fear. I have not forgotten. So, should we start wrapping up the the drop pods?
I mean, this is just bringing me back to The Boys, which is
Yeah.
a really good read and a really strange adaptation. And definitely watch season 2, which I absolutely don't doubt for a second they're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch season 2. Like I wasn't on board with the first season, but I watched it and I was entertained. I think a lot of the problem is for Daybreak, for example, if you disconnect your brain, I'm sure you can enjoy it.
The Boys is getting a second season. Good.
Yeah.
Because there is so much going on in that world that we haven't been shown yet. That I feel like they're hinting towards, but haven't quite revealed. Like, there's fucking technically zombies, but not really. Like, more like, imagine if you took a person that had been dead for a while and then resuscitated them, and their brain wasn't. They're like drooling, dribbling retards is basically the words that they use in the book.
Yeah.
Like, the lamplighter gets killed and brought back to life, and they just keep him in a hole in their base, like there's like a floor hatch, and then, like, someone looks in there and it's just the lamplighter covered in his own shit because he's trying to refuel his lamp with feces. And he just doesn't understand why it's not working and dribbling all over. Like, it's very messy, and it gets messier. There's the whole HeroCon thing where they go to a convention. They tell everyone that there is an alien invasion, that all the heroes have to group up together and go fight off the alien invasion. So we'll be back in like a week. And then all the heroes leave, but they actually just go to an island out in the Pacific and have a massive big orgy. Like, it's basically spring break for the heroes that they do every couple of years. And
Yeah.
a whole bunch of really important plot shit goes down there.
But
Which was interesting because they reference it quite often throughout, but they never really say what happened. And then we reach the point where you get to see what happened at HeroCon, and it's like, oh, that is a lot worse than I was expecting it to be.
yeah.
Like, we haven't even seen fucking Captain Douchebag eating babies yet. There's so much to go.
I think has this helped you at all in terms of Daybreak? Wait. Let me grab my last drink to keep me going through this last.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a drink as well.
All right. So yeah, how has everyone found the second episode of DropPod? No, no, no. In Australia, you're literally never more than a meter from a spider. Well, you came in like halfway through, right, Soup Barrel? And this was always going to be confusing for people who haven't seen Daybreak, basically, because Daybreak is, like there's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't think we got through everything, but we got through the main points that we wanted to discuss, and obviously we got distracted a lot by talking about other things, and yeah. But I'm currently wondering whether YouTube would be a better place to stream this, because this feels a bit more YouTube than Twitch, I'd say. Are you going to do a drop pod where you land on an orc-infested world in a drop pod? Maybe. Maybe. I haven't seen Daybreak, but other than that, I liked it. Yeah, it's going to be hard to... It's going to be hard to watch if you don't know Daybreak, because you won't understand what we're talking about. If you enjoy me losing my shit, I believe I lost my shit a couple of times. Maybe once during this podcast. Yes. Well, it's a shame I didn't record the last drop pod, because I lost my shit a lot on that one. I also like the idea that people watching this podcast back on YouTube will see Doc saying things in chat and maybe not know that Doc is a bot, and they're like, "Wow, Doc says some really fucked up things on his." Doc says some really fucked up things in the chat, like, "Oh yeah, I always get women and children mixed up." That mod flood, I may have to get Peachy back so that we can do an episode on another episode of DropPod on like conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists, and he can take me down that fucking like further down that, because I feel like we need a recording of that.
Do you think you could convince him to do that?
He
get him off.
He really enjoyed the last one. He like you know how like when you introduce a friend to something that's terrible and you just enjoy their pain because you've already gone through it.
Yeah, I guess I can see it.
So yeah,
it is an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Those kind of crazy skeptic stuff. It's entertaining.
Yeah, I've never really looked into it or gave a shit about it. So being introduced to it on the last drop pod was interesting. So
right.
Daybreak.
In conclusion,
would you advise people to watch Daybreak?
Okay, so I was making myself a coffee. I was thinking about this exact thing, because that was my thing going in, was that I wouldn't suggest it to people. There were a lot of things I enjoyed about it, but there was enough that went wrong that it was I would not recommend it to someone. Sure, I would recommend it to someone to watch it now.
Yeah.
Having had this conversation, but I wouldn't tell them it's good.
Yeah.
I would recommend someone to watch it and figure it out for themselves. If someone said like, "Oh, is Daybreak good?" I'd say, watch it.
Yeah.
And decide for yourself.
I think if there's anything we've proved, it's that you can't explain to someone or say definitively whether it's good or not.
Yeah.
Like.
So I would recommend people to watch it. I still don't know if it's good. I'm not sure. I don't. It doesn't feel like it is. It might be. I can't tell.
Yeah. It could be good. It could be terrible. Is it just open to interpretation as to the quality of the show? Because I think that might be the first time that a TV show has ever been open to interpretation as to whether it's good or not.
Well, I think a lot of things are like either you like it or you don't. Like it's good, or you think
No,
it's good,
but-
or you don't think it's good.
But I don't know. This
But
is the
this
problem.
is the only situation where it's not like a different person. One person might think it's good, and the other person thinks it's not good. This is the only situation I can think of where I think it's good and not good at the same time.
Yeah, and I can't decide definitively on either.
It's this fucking weird cognitive dissonance of it's a good it's a show and there are good bits, but it's probably not a good show, but it's good.
I could see Daybreak being taught in classical literature classes in 2998, the same way that Shakespeare is taught. And like talking about all these hidden meanings and all these like references and like I don't know. I can't. This show is just, and this is why I wanted to talk about it. Here's an interesting fact. This show inspired me to create DropPod because it was something.
Because you just needed an excuse to rant about a TV show.
It was something so weird and so fucking like out there. I didn't know what to do with it, and I was like, I need somewhere to talk about this, but there's nowhere to talk about this. Like, you know, so I was literally like, let's create a podcast where we can talk about literally, if anyone has a mind itch in their head that they need to discuss, let's make it a thing.
And as a result of your branding, it had to be 40k themed.
Well, it was originally called something else. I can't remember what I called it to begin with.
Yeah, I did see that. I think it was like halfway through the first one, you changed the name.
Yeah, because like I have a lot of 40k stuff, and I liked the look of what I'd made. I think it was called like MercPod or something like that. So it's like, you know,
That might have been it. Yeah.
kind of like a mercenary theme where anyone who wants to talk about something can just jump on, and it had that kind of feel. But then it just made so much more sense with the 40k like art on there and everything, to just go with.
And like DropPod kind of fits because you just you drop in.
Yeah, you just drop it and
release your load and be done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It was called Merccast. And yeah, DropPod just it felt better, and I like it. It makes all the sense to me. But yeah, I had a mind itch with Daybreak, and I feel better having talked about it. I think I've clarified some things for me. I'm still on the fence, and I think I'll always be on the fence about this show until season 2, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I probably will be when season 2 comes out. I think I'll watch it. I won't be like waiting for it.
No,
I'm not. I haven't got my hopes up. But when it comes out, if I notice it, I'll definitely go over it and see if was it just a fluke.
Yeah.
Was all of the good stuff just luck?
I think we could be in for answers on season 2, whereby it could just shit itself and die, and I'll be like, okay.
Yeah,
cool,
I feel
I'm
like
happy.
giving us answers might be a mistake. That's the thing.
Well, I don't need answers.
If they actually explain too much, it's gonna ruin it.
No, I don't need answers to the show, like to the story or characters. I just need answers as to what the fuck has been going on with this show. Like, I need to know whether it was a fluke or not.
You don't want answers about the things in the show. You want answers about the show itself. Was this supposed to be good?
Yes, I need to know whether this was supposed to be good or whether it was fluke or whatever. This is like season 2. That's what I'm gonna watch. I'm not gonna be like on the edge of my seat, waiting for it to be released. But the second it's released, I'm gonna watch it because I need answers as to what the fuck happened with season 1. How was that made? How was it a thing? So.
And again, this is leading me to think that maybe it is a good show because most shows that I watch, I wouldn't be able to sit and have a 2-hour conversation about.
Yeah.
So is it good because it made us think.
Well,
but
like,
is it bad because it made us think about the wrong things?
This is the thing, is you went into this being like, you shouldn't watch this. And
No, I didn't. You are misquoting me, sir.
Sorry, yes.
I did not say you shouldn't watch this. I said I wouldn't recommend it.
Yes, you wouldn't
I
recommend
wouldn't
it.
stop someone. If someone was watching it, I'd be like, oh, good luck. I wouldn't be like, oh, don't watch that, it's bad. I just wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't say you should watch this show, it's good.
But for me, I would never go up to someone and say you should watch Daybreak. But if someone asked me, should I watch Daybreak because I'm interested in it, I'd be like, yeah, go for it. Like, you know, I wouldn't say it's good, but I'd say it's something you can watch if you're interested. It's so hard to. It's so hard to recommend or to not recommend, because it's like, it's so interesting, it's worth watching, but at the same time you don't want to do that to someone where they also watch it and go, what the fuck was that? And then they have to do a podcast where they talk for 2 hours, or it's almost 3 hours we've been talking, by the way, about this. Because, like, you have the scene of the duel where Wesley Fists and Turbo have the thing, and, like, I feel like you didn't change your opinion, but it coloured it slightly, us talking about it, and the same for me.
I've seen two different opinions on it now. I've seen two ways of thinking about the same scene. I still have my way of thinking, and you have your way of thinking.
Yeah.
The two aren't necessarily incompatible.
They don't cancel each other out completely. Like,
yeah, I can see what you mean about the. So the way I was thinking of it is, if it was like putting myself in Wesley's shoes, where I've, for whatever reason, got this thing, I have to kill my boyfriend. I've made this vow that I will kill him. I will duel him to the death.
Yeah.
All that he needed to get that out of his system was pulling the trigger. It would have been that relief in his brain. It would have just, before the confetti even flew out of the barrel of the gun, it would have been, it's done. You did it. Well, you have fulfilled your promise to yourself to do the thing. You've made this big dramatic moment. You've built it up, and you took the shot.
He killed him.
It didn't really matter if he actually shot him or not. It was.
He killed him in his mind. Basically,
I can see it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Turbo knew that he wasn't in any danger, and he wasn't actually sacrificing anything. Which is like, I don't know. I can't tell. Although I will say that I did like that scene does actually bring up another aspect of something I did like about the show, that Josh was just collecting cool shit.
Yeah.
Like, you found my replica guns from the, what was it, Hamilton show or something? And it's like, he's just collecting cool shit from around the city. Because that's probably exactly what I'd do, is just be like, oh, I want this cool thing.
Yeah. No,
Even if it, like, replica prop guns from a Broadway show, it's like, I mean, that's not particularly cool, but hey, man, you do you.
I mean, that was part of his character, though, wasn't it? That he liked uncool things. I think Josh was supposed to be kind of like the I don't care what people think about me cool, where he does uncool things, but because he doesn't care.
He was Canadian, so he got away with being slightly off.
I think like, and this is another thing that we actually didn't touch on, but I've considered, is there are two different aspects of cool in this show, which is the romance between Sam and Josh. Josh is the cool of, no one thinks that he's cool. He's unpopular, but he doesn't really care. He doesn't care what people think, and he just does what he does. And everyone who's like been through school has an aspect of this.
He's the better Sam.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be cool or popular, even when people are like, "You need to be our leader. We want you to be our leader." He's like, "No, I don't want to."
Yeah.
and he actually pulls away from it, whereas Sam does the same thing, but
She
then she just
leans
goes
into
like,
it.
I'm gonna go with it. But
And she
it's
also
such a sudden flip that it feels like it was planned out by her.
she also really cares what people think. You know, like her whole arc is I'm not who you think I am. You know, all these people are saying mean things about me. Everyone, you know, I'm popular because people have this opinion of me. You know, she cares what people think, and Josh doesn't. And like he may get like the wrong idea about her, or like put her up in his head, or something like that. Like, but he never tries to be her, or he never tries to be popular. He never gives a fuck what anyone thinks. He never wants to be the leader. And then Sam is the opposite. You know, she is popular. She acts like she doesn't care that she's popular, but she does. You know,
Does she? I don't know. It's such a sudden flip that it feels like it was just a different character almost.
but again, like we don't know her character until the end, so
Fuck this show. I just that's all I can really come up with is just like it just.
yeah. That's. But like you've got to admit, if you look at it in that respect of them being the two sides of cool that you know you perceive, there's like the adult cool where you know you just do you kind of be yourself, and that's cool. It's like the lame adult way, and that's kind of what Josh is. And then there's the in school cool where you want to be popular and all, like that's really smart. And I don't know whether they did that accidentally or not because it doesn't feel planned, but it works.
I think that's part of the problem with the show is you can't tell what is intentional and what's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could just call this show One Great Big Accident.
Or the most genius thing to ever be made. It could go either way. Or it could be the worst thing to be ever made.
It was an accident painted by Bob Ross.
Yeah.
There we go. It was a happy accident.
It's
Was it an accident? Who cares? It's a cloud now.
Maybe that's what I'll call the video. DropPod, Daybreak, the happy accident.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
No.
I can't tell. I cannot figure it out, and I don't know if I will until season 2 comes out. I think that's going to be the deciding factor as to whether or not this show is good or a mistake.
Yeah. But ultimately, fuck this show.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, fuck this show.
I still don't know whether I hate it or not.
I'm not sure I ever hated. I feel like towards the end I was just so apathetic about it.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even bring myself to hate it because it's like when something disappoints you so much, it's like I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. It's like that, except with a fucking TV show.
Yeah. And usually with like shows and films and stuff, you either want to like it or don't want to like it, and that helps. I have no stance on whether I want to or like it or want to. I can't. There's nothing in it that makes me want to like it definitively, except for maybe the RZA part, which we didn't really talk about much, but
we did touch on it.
We touched on it, yeah.
I did like the fuck you. You wanted me as a narrator, now you got me.
Yeah, like I loved that. Like, he has RZA, the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, as his narrator, and then he loses control of his narrator, and the narrator starts speaking the truth about his past instead of the fantasy that he created.
Yeah, like everybody else's flashbacks, they're kind of looking at it. It's glossing over the bad and looking at the good.
Yeah.
And the RZA comes along and is just like, no, fuck you. This is what happened. You're gonna have to deal with that shit.
Yeah. and he's like still trying to he's trying to run away from his narrator and his flashbacks, and but the RZA doesn't let him, and I mean that's fucking great. I love that, man.
It's one of those things where it was just a really clever thing, but
and then everything with
that was probably intentional. That
yeah
particular thing. I don't know.
But you can't say for sure. And then all the stuff with Turbo's dad, who we also didn't really touch on, Joe Magliano, who I love. I think he's awesome.
I kind of liked that Turbo, they did have him have a bit of like a sensitive human side without having it too on the nose.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily perfect, but it was done well.
Yeah. And like the dad, I thought it was all fake. Like they faked me out when it seemed
they
like...
kind of faked you out a couple of times.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is my dad, and he's like this, and it's like, oh, is that your dad in that stock photo? It's like, oh, well, it was a charity thing, and then it keeps playing on: is it real? Is it fake? Is he making this up? Is he just an asshole? And then you see his dad, and it's like, oh, it was real. Like, is all of it real? Yeah. How much of it was real?
It's like what's her name? Who you're not sure if it is real or not.
Mavis.
It's like Mavis. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how much is real? How much isn't? Who was lying? Who was the fantasy? What?
And then, you know, like, there's a lot of fantasy in school. There's a lot of, you know, kind of like daydreaming and wishing you weren't at school and stuff like that. And was that intentional? Was that like a commentary on school and how things can be like as a kid in school, or was that just a happy little accident?
I think that was. That there were often scenes where like Josh would be in the middle of something, and then he'd just go off into a fantasy flashback where he's talking to the camera. And it's like, you're in the middle of something, dude.
But was that
which is kind of what kids do.
But was that intentionally, like, or was that just because they had that?
I feel like that was intentional, simply because it happened right at the very beginning with the golfers in the first episode, where he's like talking to them about his story, and they're like, make it good or we'll kill you. And he's like, okay. And then he goes off into the flashback, and they pull him out. They're like, hey, what are you doing? You're supposed to be telling us a good story. He's like, wait, I'm getting to the good bit. Just wait. And then he carries on.
Which I also really like.
That's what makes me think the daydreams interrupting reality was intentional as a commentary on kids daydreaming in school. I feel like that's probably not an accident.
But with everything in this show, it's always probably. there's nothing you can say definitively. That's why I hate this goddamn show, and I like it, and I dislike it, and I fucking love it. Is like, there's no some consistency, please. If you're gonna make a shitty show, just make a shitty show. I don't need this inconsistent shit.
It's somewhere between lumpy porridge and gravel in its consistency. It's like, which one is it? You've got to pick one, guys.
I don't know. I don't know what to. I can't.
I mean, I have my solution.
Do you want to? Did you leave the watch together?
I did, yeah.
Do you want
we were using it.
Do you want to finish very quickly on the new Sonic the Hedgehog? Just as something random to talk about.
Sure. I think I saw parts of the trailer. I've seen like scenes of the trailer. I still don't like it. It's got nothing to do with Sonic's design. I know a lot of people freaked out about the original Sonic design, and I can see why they would. But I was like, yeah, whatever. It's a Sonic movie. The new one, his new design, it's like, yeah, I can see it looks better. It's still, okay. So I like the concept that they're going with. In I think I mentioned this the other day. They're doing like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where they merge animation and live action, like they did with the Pokemon movie, which is actually really good for anyone that hasn't seen it.
I have not seen it yet. Is it good because Ryan Reynolds?
He definitely helps.
Yeah.
It's got like a really a cliche story, but it kind of works.
Okay.
It's nice. Um,
Let me just check
but
the.
I just
okay.
don't like Eggman in the trailer.
Yeah.
Robotnik is to me. Robotnik has always been super sinister. Like he is massive evil. He is
Jim
not
Carrey.
a
It's just...
dancing goofball.
Well, let's yeah, keep in mind that you can also pause, and we can,
Yep.
you know, so.
Yep.
I'm Sonic, a little ball of super energy in an extremely handsome pack.
I like this.
I don't like his voice, but sure.
No, not the voice. I like the world. Like I'd
Oh,
actually.
it actually looks like the Green Hill Zone. Are there
Yeah.
Green Hills? Yeah, Green Hill Zone.
I not going to lie. I'd love to see a Sonic film based on the first Sonic game, where they go through the different worlds and all that kind of.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing they would have done back in the 80s. They did a couple of those where they made a game that had no specific story, and then it was kind of like someone was like, "Oh, we can make a book out of this," and then that went on. I think it was Blaster Master had
Yeah.
that. It had like a game where you play a guy and a robot in a jet, and you just like travel through to the end, and then you win. And it's a very simple game, but then the book has like an actual story and plot, and it was really well done. It's like they could kind of do something like that with Sonic.
Yeah.
Which isn't what this is going to be, because it's apparently Sonic on Earth.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's we'll get that. We'll get that.
Package. On my planet, people were always after my powers, so I can't.
Is that what the rings do?
Yeah, it's never really specified what the rings are for.
Because
they give him one-ups.
well, like the rings were just collectibles in the game, I guess. But has there ever been a point where he could use a ring to teleport, or like?
So I'm not like, I know that there are probably super fans out there that have played all of the different Sonic games that
Yeah.
know what the rings are actually for, but as far as I know, he collects them for points.
Yeah.
I've never seen him like throw one and use it as a teleporter to
But
another world.
he has like jumped through a ring in a game before, and it like takes him somewhere else. I know that. But
Yeah, I remember like the Dreamcast games, he would like
Yeah.
hit the rings and they would like shoot him forwards and stuff. So maybe.
I guess there's not too much to read into that. It's open enough, and it's not too put together, so that they can probably get away with it. But it just feels weird to me. It feels too convenient.
Came to yours. It gets a little lonely, but that's okay. I am.
Also, he apparently just reads Flash comics, because references.
There's
I
a lot
guess.
of them, so.
Living
I mean,
my best life on Earth. Ow! Let the plate Sonic! Let the pitcher's mound also Sonic! Ugh, I can't with that guy.
Is that funny?
No. You knew it wasn't funny before you paused it.
But like,
I think everybody knows it's not funny.
it doesn't
Like,
fall.
even the people who wrote it didn't intend it to be a joke. They
Yeah.
intended it to be shitty, corny humor that it's like, we're making an intentionally juvenile joke.
But it doesn't fall flat. It doesn't make me cringe. I can just get past it, you know?
Probably just because of the character. Like,
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
Sonic, and he's kind of
But,
a goofy
like,
kind
I
of
think-
Sonic.
It feels like a shitty joke that was executed fine, so it doesn't, like, hurt. Or
Yeah.
maybe that's it.
Uh-oh.
That's so much better. Like, I didn't like the original Sonic.
I can only vaguely remembered it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't good, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can remember seeing it and thinking that it didn't look good. Like, it looked like bad CGI. This
Yeah.
doesn't look great
It looks
as
better.
far as CGI goes, but the design looks better.
Why are you hiding out in my garage? They're coming for me!
Not a better
So much
choice of
power
music.
to conquer the universe. You have to help
It's
me.
got Sonic in it.
Please.
It does. At least it's not Gangster's Paradise, I guess.
Good morning, my rural chum. Mr. Dr. Robotnik. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to tell me where it is.
Wait! Don't hurt him!
See, okay, so that was Robotnik.
Yeah, no, it's not.
5 seconds, and he's like menacing, and he's
Yeah, when
creeping up on him, and it's like, I'm evil and I will kill you. And then they do this
yeah,
and ruin the effect.
what I would say is you started off Robotnik, but your Jim Carrey is showing.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel right to me, because like I said, to me, Robotnik has always been like extraordinarily sinister.
It may
Even
not.
his design, he just looks really sinister.
It probably will be acceptable, but it will be acceptable because it's Jim Carrey. Is what I'd say.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a Jim Carrey villain named Robotnik. I don't think we're going to get Robotnik.
No. Which might be fine, but it is a little bit
yeah,
jarring.
I'm not saying that it's going to be bad, because I generally like Jim Carrey. I can't think of many things he's been in that I had specifically hated.
I'm sure there's a few things I can come up with, but a lot of the time I'd say because there's been so much Jim Carrey over the years, like things like Liar Liar, I like. You know, it's like, yeah, sure. As time has gone on, the more of the exact same Jim Carrey I've got, it's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Like, Yes Man, for example. You know, it's like, that was a completely forgettable movie because I'd seen it before. It's just Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it was very much like, what if Liar Liar, except instead of not being able to lie,
he just says yes.
To say yes.
Yeah.
But I did still like it. Jim Carrey's kind of like that. It's like, even if it's not great, it's still good because it's Jim Carrey and he's generally good.
And also, like, yeah, you can draw a parallel to The Last Jedi because they, for some reason, maybe it's just because of the current political and cultural weather, but they want to make Nazis who get like goofy and, you know, get like beaten easily and everything.
Which I don't get. That feels like, isn't that a dangerous thing to be starting?
Well, it's
these are the worst people in history. Let's make them look goofy. That feels
not to get too into politics too much or anything, but one of the trends I've seen on the left-leaning, especially newspapers, but just in general, is instead of going, Donald Trump is doing this thing that we don't agree with, here are his information and you know, etc. Why it does seem like it's a trend that started with George Bush, but clownifying.
Yeah, the making him goofy instead of making him bad.
Instead of talking.
I mean, in George Bush's instance, it was kind of easy to do because he was a very easy target.
Yeah. But, like, you know, there's no attempt to get deep with why you disagree with, you know, you just clownify them and try and turn them into a laughing stock instead of, like, you know, arguing points and that kind of thing. Yeah, no, don't worry, Rowan. It's a good point, and it kind of like it's like Dr. Robotnik in this. He's supposed to be, I'm not gonna say Nazi, but he's supposed to be kind of like secret police style sinister.
Yeah,
and then
the black leather, the suit,
like
the cropped haircut, all that stuff. It's very SS sort of thing going on.
You wouldn't expect an evil scientist to scream, freak out, and then get slapped when you know, this kind of thing happened. Like it's childifying a sinister bad guy because it's easier comedically. It's like what they did in The Last Jedi to Gingerhead. I can't remember his name. They just, you know,
the general guy. How initially we see him and he's competent and villainous, and then the next time he's just like
He's a caricature of.
Yeah, everyone is
himself.
just shitting on him and making fun of him, and just it didn't feel very good. Yeah.
No, and then like there's the conversation where at the beginning of The Last Jedi where he calls up and then he makes a "your mum" joke, and the guy like can you imagine in the original Star Wars, the first one, can you imagine like any of the Imperial officers falling for a "your mum" joke?
I can't imagine anyone treating them that way. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it was intentional that Poe, was it?
Yeah.
He's that not afraid of them. But even like Han Solo, when he had his line where the accidental weapons discharged, we're fine here.
Yeah.
Like that was a comedic line that was delivered as a straight line. Like, he wasn't intentionally dismissing their power and strength.
Yeah, he was trying to avoid gaining their ire because he
knew that it wasn't working. That's why he just shot the radios. Like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
But in the Last Jedi, he's going up to them and getting in there within blasting range and making fun of them. Are you afraid of them or not?
He's basically dropping his trousers and mooning them. Pretty much.
Which worked out so well in Braveheart.
Yeah.
Remember that one dude took an arrow
that one dude took an arrow in the ass, but most of them got away with it. Although ultimately they didn't, because fuck you, Scotland.
Yeah, no.
I love that about Braveheart. They're like, wow, yay, Scotland, and it's like, you could have had an after credits thing where it's like actually Scotland got fucked.
Yeah, it's like you see the end and it's like, Willie Wallace is a hero and the Scottish people are freed from the bad Englishmen, and then after credits scene and it's just like Scotland is just ruined.
Yeah,
and there's English soldiers everywhere.
Yeah, not to take away from the film, but yeah. Anyway, let's see a little bit more of this.
Yeah.
This can't be happening to me.
Oh my God, stop the car right now. What? The world's largest rubber band ball? We gotta see it.
No, this is not some fun family road trip.
You're right. It was lame. Gift shop was cool though.
Whatever this creature is, I'm going to uncover the source of its power.
Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, I just can't.
I just thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk. Of course I want a latte.
I love the way you make them.
Funny, but not Robotnik. Jim Carrey.
I'm thinking of like the Sonic cartoon and the Sonic comics and all those other things. If a henchman had done something like this to that Robotnik, he would have pulled a lever and the floor would have opened underneath the henchman, who would have fallen into a pit and never been seen again.
Kind of comedically, but not like, not goofy.
Yeah.
There's nothing sinister or threatening about him.
I mean, you kind of pause just on time to cut off the line that solidifies this scene as bad.
Oh, so we'll go back slightly.
I just thought you might like a latte with steamed Austrian goat milk. Of course I want a latte.
I love the way you make them.
We gotta lay low.
Let me show you how it's done.
Like, does that? I love the way you make them. Does that not just? What is he supposed to be?
Yeah. But in terms of take Robotnik away, and I like comedically, I enjoy that scene. Like,
it's a very Jim Carrey good.
Yeah.
It's a good Jim Carrey scene, but it's not a good Robotnik scene. To me, I know that a lot of people have different opinions on who and what Robotnik is.
Sure.
To me, he's always been sinister, not goofy.
But
it is a well-executed joke. It does not fit the character.
Instantly, where are you on the video? I'm 148.
Yeah, 148. The darts.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Should we get out of here?
Yeah, time to go.
I always want to do this. Nailed it.
Uh-oh.
comes the boom.
How are you not dead?
I have no idea.
I actually like that.
Give me a big, fat break!
It feels a little bit more intelligent than what I'd expect from this film. So the "How are you not dead?" I have no. It just comedically it works.
Yeah, no, that works. Then it's
know?
followed up by Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey and ruining the scene.
Yeah, no, that yeah. You don't, but it's trailer, so that could have just been the person editing
They're probably,
it.
yeah, they're probably completely unrelated scenes, but
Yeah.
that, I think he's done that exact thing in both Liar Liar and Yes Man, where he does like the turnaround and the crouching with his hands up in the air while screaming something out. Like he does that in all of his movies where
Yeah.
he's overreacting to something.
Yeah, Jim Carrey is a little bit generic of himself at this point.
Yeah.
That was an illegal left, by the way.
Aw, this one is cute. Let's keep him. Oh, come on. You've got car insurance, right?
Why would you throw your life away for this silly little alien?
Good times.
He's my friend.
Let's go! This is my power. And I'm using it to protect my friends. Let's go! Let's go! So, you're supposed to be Tom's best friend that he won't shut up about. Well, I don't see the appeal. That is very gross. Let's go!
There's no real comedy in it.
There's a lot of jokes.
I wouldn't even call them jokes. They're just like inverted
No, they're
commas
intentional jokes.
humor.
They're intentional jokes. It's the kind of comedy that comes off without chemistry. Like,
Do you know?
it's like comparing the original Ghostbusters movie to the Ghostbusters remake. The
Yeah.
original Ghostbusters movie had a lot of comedy in it because there was just really good chemistry and almost improv back and forth between the
Yeah.
characters. And then
Yeah.
the new one, there was scene, setup, punchline, end scene, which is what this trailer kind of has. It's got a lot of, this is a scene, this is the funny part,
Yeah.
and then the scene ends.
They I think the jokes are so telegraphed that you don't even consider them jokes. It's just like it's like listening to a riddle. You know there's an answer, and once you get it, you're like, oh, okay, and then move on.
Yeah.
But I'd say I'd compare the humor in this to Transformers. Like
Yeah.
It's very trying to appeal to everything and everyone, and just so generic that there's nothing interesting. It just is.
In response to Rowan Hopkins in the chat,
Yeah.
he wants great, if possible, relatable villains again.
Mm.
I don't think we're allowed anymore because the closest we've had in the past was Thanos, and look what they did to him.
Oh God.
I am so like, why he
Oh,
was such a good villain to begin with, and then they brought him to the second time, and then they were just
I will do
they completely ruined it.
I will do a drop pod on how Avengers Endgame was an amazing finale to the MCU. Was
And a terrible movie.
Was a fucking horrific sequel. Like
Yeah.
that's my take.
Yeah.
That's my take on Avengers Endgame. It was fucking amazing. I loved it as the finale to the entire MCU. It was a fucking it was possibly the worst sequel I've ever seen to Infinity War.
Yeah, it's just so disappointing because they had actually managed to create a really good villain, and then got rid of him.
You know how people have like different ways of watching Star Wars? I think people are going to have a watch order for Marvel that ends at Infinity War. Like Edris said, stopped after Infinity War. I think that is not a terrible place to stop the Marvel thing. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like there's too much that happens in Endgame. Like there's too many things that happen that it's like you don't get the end of anyone's story until you've seen Endgame, and then you
Oh,
get
yeah,
the end of a
yeah.
couple of stories. So it's like, if you like good relatable villains, don't watch it. If
Yeah.
you like Thor and Captain America,
And
watch
Iron Man.
yeah, and well, no, if you really like Iron Man, you probably don't want to watch it. But
No, I thought that was a good end to Iron Man.
yeah, but if you're gonna be sad,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was just
Trying to avoid spoilers. I mean, at this point, if you haven't seen it, then-
no, I don't avoid spoilers. I was just making the thing of like, if you really like Iron Man, don't watch it
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
you're gonna not like what happens.
I know. I really
it
like.
was a pretty good ending, but it's like, yeah.
I know. I like. I like Iron Man a lot, and I like. It was sad, but I thought it was perfect for Tony, especially. And like, you got some really cool moments, like when Cap picks up the hammer. Like, that's awesome. I love that.
But I think we all saw that coming, though.
Yeah,
From
yeah,
that
yeah.
one scene where in Age of Ultron, where he pretends he's gonna pick up the hammer, but he doesn't, and you can see Thor is concerned,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh no, I can't get it." Just the way he said it was like, "Yeah, no, he could totally lift that. He knew he could lift that, and he didn't want to because he's just such a nice guy."
Yeah.
So if you really like Aquaman, definitely don't watch Aquaman.
Endgame.
No, Aquaman. I didn't
Oh,
like it.
right. I mean, no one really likes Aquaman
I don't know. He was.
as a character.
I don't-
Just in general. Like, he's a...
He's. It's such a weird thing that like he was even involved in. Like the boys did it well, where they had their Aquaman, and they were like, "We don't really need you. You know that, right?"
Yeah, yeah. Well, they don't need anyone, really, aside from the main dude. Like, everyone else is mostly throwaway.
Well, no, everybody else in that team can keep up with the main dude at least.
Yeah.
But the Aquaman ripoff is like, what are you gonna do? Talk to fish? We don't need you. You're literally here just in case something falls under the water and we don't want to go get it.
And we don't want to get wet, yeah. Anyway, I think we should end this drop pod, otherwise we're going to veer off into other
I mean,
things.
there are plenty of things to ramble about. I enjoy me some media.
Oh yeah, me too. Although, you know, mostly I enjoy being upset about where it's going to and where it's headed. So, this was DropPod. If you ever have something, if you have a brain itch, a mind itch that you just can't get rid of, maybe you saw a TV show or saw a piece of media and you're just like, I don't know what to do about this, you could talk about it on DropPod. I may do it again for myself on a few things. I'd say I'd definitely be able to do one on Endgame and just the end of the end, inverted commas, of the MCU. And
Have you seen Far From Home?
refresh my mind.
The latest Spider-Man one.
Yes, I could do one on that probably.
Yeah, I kind of appreciated what they were doing with that. It didn't
Yeah.
feel like they were just like, okay, it's a Spider-Man movie, but we're just going to pretend nothing happened during the whole MCU debacle.
Well,
They didn't.
They
They
did
kind
that
of
with the other one
it
as
all
well.
played in,
Yeah.
and I liked it. I thought, yeah. I know a lot of people didn't. I kind of did. So fuck them, they're wrong.
They're treating Spider-Man with a modicum of respect, unlike the other Spider-Man stuff that have come before it.
Yeah, there's actually a couple of other Spider-Man movies I still haven't seen yet.
Yeah. That's,
Although I am looking forward to, I'm hoping there'll be a Venom 2, because I really enjoyed that, and I want to see him actually meeting up with this current iteration of Spider-Man.
I would like to see them both meeting up. I think Tom Holland and what's his face?
Yeah.
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 Generic handsome man of the moment.
Hang on. He's got a name. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
I think that they will work, like, the character that Tom Hardy was playing will work perfectly.
I wasn't too into the Venom film itself. I didn't think it was amazing, or it just didn't catch me. I watched it and I was like, okay, that's quite good.
I didn't like so the action stuff was kind of bleh.
Yeah.
I liked the
Venom
relationship forming between Venom and Tom Hardy.
Yeah, me too.
Eddie Brock. I really enjoyed that.
I think having Eddie Brock being older than Spider-Man and being a bit more like world weary and shit could be really interesting. And I think they're two different perspectives, and having Venom in the mix as well, I think them two together could be awesome. But yeah, the Venom film wasn't amazing for me, like aside from the Venom Tom Hardy stuff.
I wonder if we'll get a flashback of Venom back on his home planet and Deadpool putting the suit on and then putting him back. Because that's a thing that happens. Deadpool was the first person to wear the Venom suit.
I'll tell you what. Deadpool, Venom, and Spider-Man. Just chuck them all into a movie. Let's see what happens.
It's Deadpool. You don't even need to have him in the movie. He could just show up for a scene and then just leave and never come back, and nobody would question it because it's fucking Deadpool.
And you know that that Ryan Reynolds would be down for that shit.
Oh yeah, isn't he still like playing the Deadpool Twitter account? Like he's still
probably
like running that thing as he's really into that character.
Like whether you like Deadpool 2 or Deadpool even, like personally I liked Deadpool. I enjoyed Deadpool 2. There is an aspect of them being fairly generic and in a lot of aspects of it, but you know, I enjoyed it enough.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that they actually I'm sad now, thank you.
Well,
you just made me sad because I
wait, you cut out. Dog? Did he survive all this time only to be... Yeah, his internet went.
Try this again.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sad now.
But
and
why?
It's your fault.
What'd I do?
So Death, the hot skeleton chick, doesn't exist for Thanos, which was Thanos' original reason in the comics for wanting to kill everyone, was to get the attention of Death. If she doesn't exist for Thanos, that means she can't exist for Deadpool, which means that whole story thing isn't going to happen.
Yeah, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I'm sad now, and it's your fault.
I mean, I didn't directly, allude to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you intentionally made me sad, I'd just be angry, but because you accidentally made me sad, I'm just sad.
Sorry. Anyway, that's DropPod.
We'll keep going if we don't stop.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to spay and neuter your celebrities.